The Force binds all things across the galaxy, connecting every living being in an invisible web of energy and destiny. But what happens when something from beyond the stars arrives with power that answers to no Force, no midi-chlorians, no ancient Jedi prophecy? What happens when a warrior whose strength has shattered gods falls into a universe where even the mightiest draw their power from a single cosmic wellspring? The galaxy far, far away was about to discover that some fighters don't need the Force to change everything. The sparring match had been going well. Too well, perhaps. Goku had pushed Ultra Instinct to its absolute limit against Whis, their clash of power rippling through the fabric of reality itself. Then something unexpected happened. The angel's staff flickered, energy surged in impossible directions, and the universe screamed. Goku felt reality tear like wet paper around him as instant transmission activated involuntarily, pulling him not across space, but across the boundaries between universes entirely. He didn't know how long he fell through the kaleidoscope void between realities. Seconds? Hours? Time held no meaning in the space between spaces. When he finally crashed into solid ground, the impact carved a crater 30 meters wide into sun-baked sand. Goku lay there for a moment, his GI torn and smoking, his body aching in ways it hadn't since his early days of training with King Kai. Something felt wrong, different. His ki churned sluggishly inside him like it was moving through thick syrup instead of flowing freely. He pushed himself up slowly, shaking sand from his wild black hair, and looked around. Desert stretched in every direction under a sky that held not one sun, but two. Twin stars blazing overhead with unfamiliar warmth. The air tasted strange on his tongue, carrying scents he'd never encountered. And there was something else, something invisible but pervasive, like static electricity coating everything. It felt similar to Kai but fundamentally different, as if the entire universe was humming with an energy he couldn't quite grasp. "Okay," Goku muttered, brushing himself off and taking a fighting stance experimentally. His body responded, but everything felt slightly off-kilter. When he powered up, golden energy crackling around his fists, it came slower than usual and flickered uncertainly. "That's not good. Where am I? And how do I get back to Beerus's planet?" He tried to sense for familiar key signatures, Vegeta, Whis, even Beerus, but felt nothing. No energy signatures at all like the ones he knew. Instead, that strange ambient energy filled his senses like white noise, making it nearly impossible to distinguish individual presences. It was like trying to hear a whisper in a windstorm. A distant roar made him look up. Something was crossing the sky. A massive, wedge-shaped vessel, painted stark white, bristling with weapons and moving with mechanical precision. It wasn't like Frieza's ships or the Capsule Corp vehicles. This had a brutal, militaristic efficiency to it. As Goku watched, smaller craft detached from the larger ship, streaking toward his position with clear hostile intent. "Great," Goku grinned despite himself, falling into a ready stance. "At least some things are universal. Looks like I'm going to get some answers one way or another." The smaller craft, sleek, angular fighters with solar panels on their wings, screamed overhead, circling his crater like predatory birds. One descended, its weapon systems glowing an ominous red. A amplified voice boomed from speakers on its hull, speaking in a language Goku had never heard but somehow understood, as if the meaning bypassed his ears entirely and planted itself directly in his mind. "Unidentified entity, you are in violation of Imperial airspace. Power down and submit to arrest immediately, or you will be terminated." Imperial? Goku scratched his head, his tail. Wait, no. His tail was still gone. That phantom sensation again, his confusion mounting. "I don't know what Imperial means, but I'm not looking for trouble. I'm just lost and trying to find my way home." The fighter's weapons charged brighter. "Final warning, submit or be destroyed." Goku sighed. He really didn't want to fight people who might just be doing their jobs, but he'd been in enough situations to recognize when talking wouldn't work. These guys had already made up their minds. As the first fighter opened fire with brilliant green energy bolts, Goku simply vanished. The instant transmission felt strained, like pulling a muscle, but it worked. He reappeared on the wing of the attacking craft, knocking gently on the cockpit canopy. The pilot inside, wearing white armor and a helmet that completely covered their face, jerked in shock, the fighter wobbling in midair. "Hey!" Goku called over the wind. "I really don't want to fight. Can you just point me toward whoever's in charge so we can talk this out?" The pilot's response was to trigger the fighter's emergency spin maneuver. Goku hopped off easily, floating in midair as the craft spiraled away. The other fighters immediately opened fire, dozens of green energy bolts converging on his position. Goku weaved between them with practiced ease, though he noticed his movements were just a fraction slower than normal. Whatever was wrong with his Kai in this universe, it was affecting everything. "All right, you guys asked for it." He cupped his hands at his side, feeling the familiar buildup of energy, slower and more difficult than usual, but still there. "Cop, me, ha, me." The blue light between his palms grew brighter, raw power condensing into a focus point. "Ha!" The wave of energy shot forward, not at the fighters but past them, exploding harmlessly in the empty sky above. The sheer force of the blast passage sent the Imperial craft tumbling like leaves in a hurricane. Goku powered down, hovering in place with his arms crossed, hoping they'd gotten the message. They had. The fighters retreated at maximum speed, their engines screaming as they fled toward the massive Star Destroyer, still hanging in orbit. Goku watched them go with mixed feelings. He hadn't wanted to scare them that badly, but at least nobody got hurt. What he didn't see was the probe droid that had been recording everything from a rocky outcropping 2 kilometers away, its multiple optical sensors capturing every impossible moment. The footage was already being transmitted across the galaxy, toward beings who would find Goku's display of power very interesting indeed. As the twin suns began their descent toward the horizon, painting the desert in shades of orange and crimson, Goku started walking. Somewhere on this strange world, there had to be someone who could explain where he was and how to get home. And maybe, if he was lucky, someone strong enough to give him a decent fight while he figured things out. He didn't know yet that he'd landed on Tatooine, in a galaxy gripped by civil war, or that his arrival had just drawn the attention of the most powerful beings in the Empire. All he knew was that his ki felt wrong. The energy of this universe was strange, and he was very, very far from home. But Son Goku had faced universe-ending threats before. One step at a time, one fight at a time, he'd find his way. That's what he always did. If you want to see more characters enter the Star Wars galaxy, hit that subscribe button and drop the name of a character you'd want to see in the comments below. May the Force be with you. The desert wind picked up, carrying sand across his boots as distant moisture evaporators began their evening cycle. In the distance, barely visible against the darkening sky, the lights of a settlement flickered to life. Mos Eisley, the spaceport where nothing was quite what it seemed, and everyone had secrets to hide. Goku smiled and powered up just enough to fly, golden energy flickering around him like static electricity, fighting to ignite. His body was adapting slowly to this universe's strange laws. By the time he reached that settlement, maybe he'd feel more like himself. Behind him, his crater was already being covered by the shifting sands. But the impact he'd made on this galaxy's destiny would prove far more permanent. The spaceport of Mos Eisley sprawled across the desert like an infected wound on Tatooine's surface. All rust-colored buildings, flickering neon signs, and the constant hum of activity that never quite stopped even in the deepest night. Goku descended at the settlement's edge, his golden aura fading as his boots touched sun-baked stone. The town smelled of exotic spices, machine oil, and something vaguely unpleasant he couldn't identify. Music drifted from various cantinas, strange melodies played on instruments he'd never seen. People, though people seemed inadequate given the sheer variety of beings moving through the streets, gave him curious glances, but no one approached. Goku noticed creatures with tentacles for faces, others with scales or fur, some humanoid and others decidedly not. A few wore armor similar to the white-clad soldiers from the fighters, though these walked with the casual swagger of off-duty military rather than active enforcement. "Excuse me." Goku approached a vendor selling what appeared to be roasted meat on sticks. The alien had blue skin and multiple eyes that swiveled independently to track him. I'm looking for information. Do you know where I can find someone in charge? Or maybe someone who knows about space travel? The vendor's translator collar crackled to life. Credits first, questions later. Information costs in Mos Eisley. Credits? Goku patted his GI, which had exactly 0 pockets and contained no money of any kind. I don't have any, but I could work for some? I'm really strong. The vendor's laugh was a wet, burbling sound. Strong? In Mos Eisley? Try the fighting pits on the south side, but you don't look like you'd last 2 minutes against a Haut gladiator. Goku's eyes lit up. Fighting pits? That sounds perfect. Before the vendor could respond, a commotion erupted down the street. White armored soldiers, stormtroopers he'd later learn, were hassling a tall, furry creature that resembled a walking carpet with a bandolier across its chest. The creature roared, a sound that resonated in Goku's chest despite the distance, and shoved one trooper into a wall. Wookiee scum! The lead trooper raised his weapon, not quite a gun, more like a rifle that glowed with contained energy. Resisting Imperial authority is a capital offense. Goku moved without thinking. One moment he was at the vendor's stall, the next he was standing between the stormtroopers and the Wookiee, having crossed 30 meters in the blink of an eye. The soldiers jerked backward, their weapons swinging toward this new threat. Hey, take it easy! Goku raised his hands peacefully. Nobody needs to get hurt here. Stand aside, civilian. The lead trooper's voice was distorted by his helmet. This creature is wanted for... The Wookiee grabbed Goku's shoulder with a massive paw, speaking in a series of growls and barks that somehow conveyed urgent warning. Goku didn't understand the words, but the meaning was clear. These guys are dangerous. Run. I appreciate the concern, Goku said to the Wookiee, but I've dealt with way worse than a few soldiers. He turned back to the stormtroopers. Look, I don't know what he did, but how about we all calm down and... The lead trooper fired. The green energy bolt crossed the distance in a fraction of a second, aimed directly at Goku's chest. In his home universe, Goku could have caught it, deflected it, or simply powered up enough that it would bounce off harmlessly. Here, with his Kai still adjusting, he did the only thing his body would allow on instinct. He dodged. But even impaired, his reflexes operated on a level these soldiers had never encountered. The bolt passed through empty air as Goku sidestepped with minimal movement, tilting his head just enough. 3 more troopers fired simultaneously. Goku's body flowed like water, each shot missing by millimeters as he weaved between energy bolts that would have killed an ordinary human instantly. Stop shooting, Goku called out, frustration creeping into his voice. I'm trying to help. The lead trooper activated his comlink. We have a Force user. Repeat, possible Jedi survivor in Mos Eisley, requesting immediate backup and Inquisitor deployment. Force user? Jedi? The terms meant nothing to Goku, but the escalation was clear. More stormtroopers were emerging from various buildings, weapons raised. The crowd that had been going about their business scattered like startled birds. Even the hardened criminals and smugglers of Mos Eisley knew better than to be near when the Empire got serious. The Wookiee roared again and bolted down an alley. Goku considered following, but decided these soldiers needed to understand he wasn't their enemy. He caught the next energy bolt, actually caught it. His hand wreathed in a thin layer of Kai that allowed him to grasp the superheated energy and crush it like a water balloon. The discharge sparked between his fingers before dissipating. The stormtroopers stopped firing. For a long moment, the street was silent except for the distant hum of the spaceport and the wind whistling through narrow passages. Impossible, one trooper whispered, his voice barely caught by his external speakers. Nothing alive can touch blaster fire. Goku powered up just enough to let golden energy crackle around his body. Still not the full transformation, his Super Saiyan form feeling sluggish and incomplete in this strange universe, but enough to make his point. His hair flickered between black and gold, caught in that transitional state. I don't want to fight you, I'm not your enemy, but I'm not going to let you hurt people who don't deserve it either. The lead trooper's hand moved toward a device on his belt. Some kind of grenade, Goku's combat instincts warned. Before the soldier could arm it, Goku appeared directly in front of him, moving faster than the human eye could track, even while impaired. He gently tapped the trooper's helmet, the impact precisely calculated. The soldier dropped like a puppet with cut strings, unconscious but unharmed. The other stormtroopers opened fire in panic. Goku moved through them like a ghost, each touch dropping another soldier into harmless sleep. Within seconds, a dozen white-armored bodies lay scattered across the street, their weapons unfired or clattering from nerveless fingers. Goku stood in the center of them all, not even breathing hard, though he felt the strain in his Kai reserves more than he should have. Impressive, the voice came from the rooftop above. Goku looked up to see a figure silhouetted against the twin moons that had replaced the suns. A woman with dark hair, wearing practical combat gear and a blaster on her hip. She wasn't alone. Several others flanked her, all watching Goku with expressions mixing fear and calculation. "You're not a Jedi," the woman continued, descending via a grappling line with practiced ease. "Wrong style, wrong technique. But you just took down an Imperial patrol without killing a single one. That takes either incredible skill or incredible stupidity." "I'm Goku," he said simply, "and I really wasn't trying to make trouble. They shot first." "They always do." The woman landed lightly, her hand resting near, but not on, her weapon. "I'm Leia Organa, and based on what I just saw, you're either the most dangerous person on Tatooine or potentially the most valuable." She paused, studying him with sharp, intelligent eyes. "How do you feel about tyranny?" "Not a fan," Goku admitted. "Had to deal with plenty of tyrants back home. Frieza, Cell, Majin Buu. They all thought they could push people around just because they were strong." Leia's eyes widened slightly at the unfamiliar names, but she filed them away for later. "Then perhaps we should talk. Somewhere more private, before the Empire sends something worse than stormtroopers." She glanced at the sky, where distant lights indicated ships moving in orbit. "They'll have recorded everything. Right now there are people very interested in meeting you." "Will they have food?" Goku asked hopefully. "I haven't eaten since I got here, and I'm starving." Despite the tension, despite the unconscious Imperials and the sound of approaching reinforcements, Leia laughed. It was a short, surprised bark of amusement. "You just declared war on the Galactic Empire, and you're worried about dinner?" "Can't fight on an empty stomach," Goku said reasonably. Leia shook her head, but she was already moving, gesturing for her team to cover their retreat. "Come with us. We'll feed you, answer your questions, and hopefully figure out what you are and where you came from. But we need to move now." As they disappeared into Mos Eisley's labyrinthine alleys, neither of them noticed the probe droid hovering in the shadows, its red optical sensor tracking their every movement. The footage it recorded, of a warrior who could touch blaster fire and defeat a dozen stormtroopers without killing, was already being transmitted across the galaxy. On Coruscant, in the Imperial Palace, Emperor Palpatine felt a disturbance. Not in the Force precisely, but something adjacent to it. Something that tasted of raw power that answered to no Sith, no Jedi, no ancient order. His withered lips curved into a smile, and on the Superstar Destroyer Executor, Darth Vader stood before a holographic display showing the same footage. His mechanical breathing filled the silence as he watched this impossible warrior move through his soldiers like they were children. The Dark Lord's fist clenched. "Prepare my shuttle," Vader commanded. "I will investigate this disturbance personally." The hunt had begun. The rebel safe house was hidden beneath a moisture farm on Tatooine's western edge, carved into rock and cooled by ancient machinery that hummed with steady persistence. Goku sat at a metal table, demolishing his fourth plate of food, some kind of roasted grain, preserved meat, and vegetables he couldn't identify but tasted decent enough. The rebels watched him eat, with expressions ranging from amazement to concern. "Where does it all go?" muttered a Twi'lek technician, his head-tails twitching nervously. "He's not even slowing down." "Scion metabolism," Goku explained between mouthfuls, though the term meant nothing to them. "I burn a lot of energy, especially when I'm fighting or training. Back home, my wife Chi-Chi used to cook me enough food for 10 people every meal." Leia sat across from him, datapad in hand, trying to make sense of the information he'd provided. "So, let me understand this correctly. You're from another universe entirely. You were training with a being you call an angel when something went wrong with your Instant transmission technique? She pronounced the unfamiliar terms carefully. And you arrived here with no way to return home. That's about right, Goku nodded, finally slowing down as his immediate hunger was sated. I've been to other universes before. There are 12 of them where I'm from, each with their own gods and warriors. But this place feels completely different. Your energy is strange. I can barely sense individuals and my ki isn't flowing right. Kai? A human rebel fighter leaned forward. Is that similar to the Force? I don't know what the Force is, Goku admitted. Ki is a life energy. Everyone has it, though most people can't sense or control it. I've trained my whole life to master mine. He held up his hand, letting a small sphere of golden energy form in his palm. The rebels gasped, several reaching for weapons before Leia raised a hand to stop them. That's not the Force, she said quietly, studying the energy with fascination. The Force connects all living things, flows through them. What you're doing, that's something else entirely. The energy sphere flickered and died as Goku closed his fist. Whatever it is, it's not working like it should. I'm at maybe 85% of normal, and transforming feels like wading through mud. This universe's physics are different somehow. Before Leia could respond, the safe house door burst open. The Wookiee from earlier entered, followed by a young man with sandy blonde hair, wearing moisture farmer clothing and carrying what looked like a laser sword deactivated at his belt. The Wookiee roared something that sounded pleased, gesturing at Goku. Chewie says you saved his life, the young man said, extending his hand. I'm Luke Skywalker, and that, he nodded to the Wookiee, is Chewbacca. We owe you. Goku shook his hand, immediately noticing something different about this kid. There was an energy around him, faint but present, similar to that ambient hum Goku had felt everywhere, but more concentrated, more personal. No problem. Those soldiers were being jerks. Where I'm from, you help people who need it. That's just what you do. Luke smiled, though something sad touched his eyes. I wish more of the galaxy thought that way. He pulled up a chair, studying Goku with open curiosity. Leia told me what happened in Mos Eisley. You fought like a Jedi, but different, faster, and you didn't use the Force at all. There's that word again, Goku said. What is the Force exactly? Luke's hand moved to the weapon at his belt. A lightsaber, Goku would learn. It's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us, penetrates us, binds the galaxy together. The Jedi were peacekeepers who used the Force for knowledge and defense. The Sith use it for power and domination. His expression darkened. The Empire hunted the Jedi nearly to extinction. Now they serve the Emperor and his enforcer, Darth Vader. Vader, Goku repeated, sensing the weight Luke gave the name. He's strong? He's a monster, Leia interjected. He destroyed the Jedi Order, serves the Emperor without question, and has crushed entire rebel cells single-handedly. He wields the dark side of the Force, anger, hatred, fear, and he's nearly unstoppable in combat. Goku's eyes lit up despite himself. Really? How strong? Like planet-busting strong? Universe-threatening strong? The rebels exchanged uncomfortable glances. We don't measure strength that way, Leia said carefully. But Vader has destroyed battle stations, killed Jedi Masters, and his power in the Force is substantial. Why do you ask? Because I love fighting strong opponents. Goku grinned, his Saiyan nature showing through. It's how I get stronger, how I push my limits. If this Vader guy's as powerful as you say, maybe fighting him would help me understand this universe better. And maybe, absolutely not, Leia cut him off sharply. This isn't a game, Goku. This is war. People die. Vader isn't some opponent to test yourself against. He's a weapon of oppression who's murdered billions. The rebellion doesn't need someone looking for a good fight. We need allies who understand what's at stake. The temperature in the room dropped several degrees. Goku's smile faded as he recognized the anger and pain beneath her words. He'd heard similar tones before, from people who'd lost everything to tyrants, who fought not for glory, but for survival. You're right, he said quietly. I'm sorry. Where I come from, strong fighters usually respect strength. Sometimes the best way to stop a bad guy is to show them they can't win, then give them a chance to change. He met Leia's eyes directly. But I'm guessing your universe doesn't work that way. No, Luke said, his voice equally serious. It doesn't. Vader killed my mentor. He's killed countless others. There's no reasoning with him, no chance for redemption. He chose his path long ago. Goku absorbed this, his expression thoughtful. Back home, he'd given Vegeta a chance. Piccolo, even Majin Buu in the end. Sometimes enemies could become friends, could choose a better path. But these people had lived through things he hadn't, faced enemies he didn't know. Maybe this galaxy's darkness ran deeper than what he was used to. Then tell me about the Empire, Goku said. Help me understand what I'm dealing with. If I'm stuck here, I should at least know who the bad guys are. For the next hour, Leia and Luke explained the galaxy's history, the fall of the Republic, the rise of the Empire, the Clone Wars, and the near extinction of the Jedi. They told him about the Death Star, a battle station that had destroyed an entire planet. They explained the rebellion's desperate struggle, how they fought with limited resources against an enemy that commanded millions of soldiers and thousands of warships. Goku listened intently, his warrior's mind cataloging information. This wasn't like Frieza's empire, built on personal power. This was systematic, organized oppression on a galactic scale. And the Emperor, this Palpatine, apparently wielded the Force at a level that made even seasoned rebels nervous. The probe droids will have sent your image across the entire Imperial network by now, Leia said, bringing up holographic displays showing Imperial communication channels. They'll classify you as either a Jedi survivor or a Force-sensitive insurgent. Either way, they'll come for you. Vader especially will want to test you himself. Let him come, Goku said, then held up a hand before Leia could object. Not because I want to fight for fun, but because if he's coming anyway, I'd rather face him on my terms than be hunted. And besides, he powered up slightly, that golden flicker dancing around his aura. I'm curious about this Force. Luke, you said it's in all living things, right? Could someone learn to use it? Luke considered this. In theory, anyone with enough midi-chlorians, microorganisms that live in cells and allow Force connection, can access the Force. But it takes training, discipline, and natural aptitude. Why? Because my ki manipulation is similar, Goku explained. I sense life energy, channel it, project it. Maybe if I understood your Force, I could figure out why my power isn't working right here. And maybe, his expression grew more serious, maybe I could help your rebellion. You said you're outmatched in every way, right? What if you had someone who could stand toe-to-toe with your strongest enemies? You'd do that? Leia asked, suspicion and hope warring in her voice. Fight for a cause that isn't yours, in a universe that isn't your home? Goku shrugged. I've saved my universe a few times. Figured I'd lend a hand here, too. Besides, you fed me, and back where I'm from, that means something. My master Roshi always said, true strength protects. If your empire is hurting innocent people, then yeah, I'll help stop them. Chewbacca roared approvingly, clapping Goku on the shoulder with enough force to stagger a normal human. Goku just laughed, the sound genuine and warm in the cold underground bunker. But I need to be honest, Goku continued. I'm not good at politics or strategy or any of that complicated stuff. I'm a fighter. Point me at the problem and I'll handle it. Everything else? He grinned. You're better off asking someone smarter than me. Luke activated his lightsaber for the first time, the blue blade humming to life and casting electric shadows across the walls. Then maybe we start with training. You learn about the Force, I learn about your ki. If Vader's coming, and he is, we should both be ready. Goku's eyes fixed on the lightsaber with interest. That's pretty cool. Can I try? Absolutely not, Leia said immediately. Those are incredibly dangerous and require Force sensitivity to wield properly. But I'm really coordinated. No. The moment was broken by an alarm shrieking through the safe house. A rebel technician looked up from his console, face pale. Imperial Star Destroyer just entered orbit. They're deploying TIE fighters and... Oh no! Oh no, no, no! What? Leia demanded. Signature matches the Superstar Destroyer Executor? The technician's hands shook. Vader's flagship. He's here personally. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. The Empire's most terrifying enforcer had come to Tatooine, drawn by reports of a Force user who'd humiliated an entire patrol without killing anyone. Goku stood, cracking his knuckles. Guess we don't have to wait long after all. This is suicide, Leia breathed. We need to evacuate, scatter the cell, hide. No, Luke interrupted, his hand on his lightsaber. Goku's right. If we run, Vader will hunt us down one by one. But if we face him together, he looked at Goku. Can you really fight him? Only one way to find out, Goku said, his battle excitement tempered by genuine concern for these new allies. But yeah, I think so. Even at 85%, I'm pretty tough. Above them, the sky darkened as the Superstar Destroyer's shadow fell across the desert. Darth Vader had come to find the warrior who defied the Empire's might, and Son Goku, stranded in a galaxy far from home, prepared to face the Dark Lord of the Sith. The twin suns cast long shadows across the desert as Goku stood outside the safe house, sensing the approach of something powerful. The strange ambient energy of this universe, the Force as they called it, rippled and concentrated ahead like a gathering storm. Luke stood beside him, lightsaber ignited, while Leia and the other rebels took defensive positions among the rocks. He's coming alone, Luke said, his connection to the Force giving him insight Goku couldn't quite match yet. That's either confidence or a test. Probably both, Goku replied, dropping into a ready stance. His Kai still felt sluggish, incomplete, but his body was adapting with each passing hour. The twin sun's radiation was different from Earth's yellow sun, or even the varied stars he'd encountered in his own multiverse, but his Saiyan physiology was slowly compensating. He could feel his power gradually stabilizing, approaching 90% of normal. The air itself seemed to grow heavy. Then from the shimmering heat haze, a figure emerged, tall, imposing, clad entirely in black armor and flowing cape. The mechanical rhythm of his breathing carried across the desert like a death knell. Darth Vader walked with absolute certainty, each step deliberate, his presence in the Force like a black hole swallowing light. Goku felt it immediately, that concentrated darkness Luke had described. It wasn't like the malice of Frieza or the insanity of Majin Buu. This was cold, controlled, purpose-driven hatred refined into a weapon, and underneath it, buried so deep most would never sense it, was pain. Endless, agonizing pain. Interesting. Vader's voice resonated through his masked vocabulaire, mechanical yet somehow conveying contempt. The reports did not exaggerate. You are different. Not a Jedi, yet you command power without the Force. He stopped 20 meters away, his hand resting near the lightsaber at his belt. Explain yourself. I'm Goku, he replied simply, and I'm not from around here. Got pulled into your universe by accident during a training session that went wrong. Another universe. Vader's helmet tilted slightly, processing this information. Impossible. Yet I sense no deception in you, only emptiness where the Force should be, and something else filling that void. Raw power without midi-chlorians, without connection to the cosmic force. His hand moved to his lightsaber. The Emperor will be most interested in studying you. Surrender now, and I promise your death will be swift. Yeah, that's not happening, Goku said, powering up slightly. Golden energy crackled around his fists, his aura beginning to manifest. Still incomplete, still struggling against this universe's different physical laws, but growing stronger. I've got friends here now, and your empire hurt them. So how about you turn around and leave peacefully? Vader's response was to ignite his lightsaber. The crimson blade hummed to life, casting red shadows across the sand. You understand nothing of power. I have crushed Jedi Masters, destroyed battle stations, and brought entire systems to heel. What are you compared to the might of the dark side? Luke stepped forward, his own blue blade raised. You're not facing him alone, Vader. Ah, young Skywalker. Vader's attention shifted, and something changed in his stance. Recognition? Interest? The Force is strong with you, stronger than when last we met, but you are not yet ready to face me. With a casual gesture, Vader extended his hand. Luke flew backward as if struck by an invisible fist, his body tumbling across the sand before impacting a boulder. Leia screamed, other rebels opening fire with blasters. Vader's lightsaber moved in precise arcs, deflecting every bolt back toward its source. 3 rebels fell, stunned by their own reflected shots. Goku moved. He crossed the distance in a fraction of a heartbeat, his fist aimed at Vader's helmeted face. The Dark Lord sensed the attack, impossibly fast by his standards, and raised his lightsaber to intercept. Metal met energy as Goku's ki-wrapped fist struck the crimson blade. The lightsaber didn't cut through. Goku's Kai provided a barrier thin as paper, but harder than any armor, the plasma blade skittering off with a shower of sparks. Vader actually stepped backward, his surprise evident in his body language even if his mask remained expressionless. What? Goku didn't let him finish. He unleashed a combination he'd practiced 10,000 times. Jab, cross, uppercut, spinning kick. Each blow came faster than the last, each one pushing Vader further back. The Dark Lord's lightsaber work was masterful, born of decades of experience and dark side enhancement. But Goku was operating on a level of speed that transcended normal combat. Vader's blade caught Goku's ankle on the spinning kick, and this time the lightsaber found purchase, not cutting through but burning through the outer layer of ki protection. Goku felt actual pain lance up his leg and flipped away, landing in a crouch. His GI was singed, his skin reddened but not seriously burned. You felt that, Vader observed, his breathing steady despite the intense exchange. Your protection is not absolute. The lightsaber can harm you, given sufficient contact. Yeah, Goku admitted, checking his leg. Your weapon's no joke. But you should see what I can do when I'm serious. He powered up further, really pushing now. Golden light exploded around him as his hair flickered between black and gold, fighting to maintain the Super Saiyan transformation. It hurt, like forcing his body into a shape it wasn't meant to hold. But he held it. His hair turned fully golden, his eyes shifting to teal, his aura blazing like a star. The rebels gasped. Even Vader took a step back as Goku's power level surged, the sheer energy output registering on every sensor within a kilometer. The sand around Goku's feet turned to glass from the heat, the air shimmering with distortion. Impossible, Vader breathed. Power without the Force, such raw strength. It defies every natural law. Goku vanished and reappeared behind Vader, landing a kick that sent the Dark Lord flying. Vader corrected mid-flight with the Force, landing in a controlled skid, but Goku was already there, pressing the advantage. They exchanged blows at speeds that made them blur, Vader's lightsaber technique enhanced by precognition and telekinesis, meeting Goku's martial arts mastery in superhuman speed. Vader realized quickly that conventional combat wouldn't suffice. He extended both hands, unleashing the Force in its rawest form. Invisible pressure crushed down on Goku from all sides, the telekinetic grip that had shattered starship hulls and crushed windpipes. Goku felt it, that strange energy trying to compress his body, slow his movements, choke his breath. He powered up harder, his aura exploding outward. The Force grip shattered like glass against a hammer. Nice try, Goku said, appearing directly in front of Vader. But I've faced psychic attacks before. You'll need better than that. Vader's response was lightning. Dark side energy channeled through his fingertips in coruscating purple-white arcs. The lightning struck Goku full force and he screamed. Unlike physical attacks that his ki could deflect, this energy bypassed his defenses, attacking his nervous system directly. It felt like being unmade at the cellular level, agony in its purest form. But Goku had endured worse. He'd survived being destroyed by Buu, endured training that would kill ordinary beings, pushed his body beyond every conceivable limit. Through the pain, through the lightning that made his muscles seize and his vision go white, he pushed forward one step at a time. Vader increased the intensity, pouring more dark side energy into the attack. The lightning intensified until it lit up the desert like a miniature sun. Still Goku advanced, his golden aura fighting against the darkness, his willpower refusing to break. How are you still standing? Vader's voice held something Goku hadn't heard yet. Uncertainty. Because, Goku forced the words out through clenched teeth. I've fought gods who hit harder. He exploded forward, his fist connecting with Vader's chest plate. The armor cracked, the impact sending Vader skidding backward. The lightning cut off as Vader focused on defense, his lightsaber moving in desperate parries. Goku's assault was relentless now, each blow testing the Dark Lord's defenses, forcing him to draw deeper on the Force just to keep pace. Then Vader did something unexpected. He stopped fighting, his lightsaber deactivated, and he stood perfectly still as Goku's next punch stopped a centimeter from his mask. "Enough," Vader said. "I have learned what I needed to know." Goku stepped back warily, not dropping his guard. "What are you talking about? You are powerful, far more powerful than any Force user I have encountered save the Emperor himself. But you are limited by this universe's laws, your power hampered by dimensional incompatibility." Vader's breathing was slightly labored now, his chest plate cracked and smoking. "In your own universe, you would be unstoppable. Here, you are merely exceptional." "So what now?" Goku asked, his Super Saiyan form finally stabilizing, the golden aura burning steady. "You going to keep fighting?" "No!" Vader's pronouncement shocked everyone, especially Luke, who was struggling back to his feet with Leia's help. "The Emperor will want you alive, studied, possibly converted to serve the Empire, but I have seen enough to know that capturing you would cost more resources than you are currently worth." His helmeted gaze fixed on Goku with unsettling intensity. "Besides, you intrigue me. Power without ambition, strength without cruelty. You fight to protect, not to dominate." "That's what strength is for," Goku said. "My master taught me that." "Then your master was a fool," Vader replied, but there was less venom in the words than before. "In this galaxy, such idealism will destroy you. The weak exist to serve the strong. That is the natural order." "Maybe in your galaxy," Goku countered, "but I've proven that order wrong more times than I can count." For a long moment, they simply stared at each other, the Dark Lord of the Sith and the Saiyan warrior from beyond the stars. Then Vader turned, his cape swirling dramatically. "We will meet again, Son Goku," Vader said as he began walking back toward his shuttle. "The Emperor will not be so easily dissuaded as I am. He will send inquisitors, assassins, entire fleets to capture or kill you. And when we do meet again, I will have studied your fighting style, prepared counters to your techniques." He paused. "I suggest you do the same." Goku powered down, his hair fading back to black as the Super Saiyan transformation released. The exhaustion hit him immediately. Maintaining that form in this universe had drained him more than expected. "Hey, Vader!" The Dark Lord stopped but didn't turn. "You're strong," Goku said. "Really strong. And there's something about your energy. Underneath all that darkness, there's pain, sadness." He couldn't see Vader's face, but he felt the sudden tension in the man's posture. "I don't know what happened to you, but maybe it doesn't have to define who you are forever." Vader's response was cold. "You know nothing of my pain, alien. Nothing of what I have lost, what I have become. Save your mercy for those who can still be saved." He continued walking, his mechanical breathing fading into the distance. Luke limped up to Goku, his expression a mix of awe and confusion. "You let him go. You could have finished him, could have struck him down when he stopped fighting." "Yeah," Goku admitted, watching Vader's shuttle rise into the sky. "But killing someone who stopped fighting isn't victory. It's just murder. Besides," he rubbed the back of his head sheepishly, "call it instinct, but I don't think Vader's as far gone as everyone believes. There's still something in him worth saving." Leia approached, her diplomatic mask firmly in place, though her eyes showed turmoil. "That was either the bravest or stupidest thing I've ever witnessed. You fought Darth Vader to a standstill and lived to tell about it? Do you understand how impossible that is?" "Not really," Goku said honestly. "I mean, he was tough, but I've fought tougher. Though that lightning trick hurt like crazy." "The Emperor's Force lightning is said to be even more powerful," Luke said quietly. "If Vader reports what happened here—" "He will," Leia interrupted, "and then every Imperial asset in the galaxy will be hunting you. You've just painted the biggest target imaginable on your back." Goku grinned, despite the situation. "Good, let them come. Maybe along the way, I'll get strong enough to find my way home." He looked at the rebels, at Luke's determined face and Leia's calculating expression. But until then, I might as well help you guys out. Your empire needs stopping, and I'm pretty good at stopping bad guys. As Vader's shuttle disappeared into orbit, none of them noticed the second probe droid recording from a distant mesa. This one wasn't Imperial. It belonged to a different organization, one that dealt in information and credits rather than ideology. And on Coruscant, in the Imperial Palace's deepest chamber, Emperor Palpatine watched the recording of Goku's fight with Vader. His yellow eyes gleamed with malicious interest as he witnessed power that defied the Force itself. Fascinating, the Emperor whispered. Absolutely fascinating. The hunt had only just begun. The rebel base on Yavin 4 was a far cry from the underground bunker on Tatooine. Ancient temples repurposed with modern technology, hangars carved into stone housing X-Wing fighters, and hundreds of personnel moving with organized purpose. Goku walked through the command center beside Leia and Luke, drawing stares from every direction. Word of the warrior who'd fought Vader had spread through the rebellion like wildfire. "You're sure about this?" Leia asked as they approached the war room where the rebel leadership waited. "Mon Mothma and Admiral Akbar will have questions. Difficult questions about your loyalties, your capabilities, your intentions." "I'll just tell them the truth," Goku said simply. "I'm stuck here. I want to help, and I really don't like bullies. That good enough?" Luke smiled despite his nervousness. "For most people? No. For you? Somehow I think it will be." The war room contained a holographic display showing the galaxy's political situation. Red for Imperial-controlled systems, blue for rebel sympathizers, gray for neutral territories. The red vastly outnumbered everything else. Standing around the table were beings Goku hadn't encountered yet. A regal human woman with kind but weary eyes, a Mon Calamari whose salmon-colored skin and large eyes gave him an amphibious appearance, and several military officers whose skepticism was written clearly on their faces. "Mon Mothma," Leia said formally. "Admiral Akbar, may I present Son Goku, the warrior from the Tatooine incident." Mon Mothma studied Goku with the practiced assessment of a politician who'd survived decades of Imperial oppression. "Welcome to Yavin 4, Goku. We've reviewed the probe droid footage extensively. What you did, fighting Darth Vader to a standstill without the Force, should be impossible, yet clearly it is not." She gestured to the holographic display. "Leia believes you can be a valuable ally. I want to understand if she's correct." Admiral Akbar's gravelly voice added, "We've also received intelligence that the Empire has issued a Priority 1 capture order for you across all systems. The bounty is substantial. 5 million credits alive only. The Emperor wants you intact." Goku whistled. 5 million? Is that a lot?" "It's enough to buy a small fleet," one of the officers muttered. "Okay, yeah, that's a lot." Goku scratched his head. "Look, I know this is weird. You guys don't know me, and I don't really understand your politics. But I've fought tyrants before. Where I'm from, there was this emperor of the universe called Frieza who destroyed entire planets for fun. I stopped him. Then there was Cell, who wanted to achieve perfect power by absorbing people. I stopped him too. And Majin Buu, who was literally created to be an unstoppable force of destruction, stopped him as well." The room was silent. Mon Mothma exchanged glances with Akbar. "You're claiming you've defeated beings capable of planetary destruction?" "Multiple times," Goku confirmed. "I'm not trying to brag. I had help from friends and made plenty of mistakes along the way. But yeah, I'm used to fighting really strong opponents." He powered up slightly, just enough for his aura to flicker visible. "This energy I use, Kai, it's basically life force weaponized. Everyone has it, but most people can't access it. I've trained since I was a kid to master mine." "Demonstrate," Akbar commanded, his tactical mind already considering applications. "Show us your full capabilities." Goku hesitated. "Full capabilities might bring this temple down. How about I show you 75%? At their nods, he stepped back and began powering up properly. The transformation was smoother this time. His body was adapting, acclimating to this universe's laws. Golden light erupted around him as his hair spiked upward and shifted to gold, his eyes becoming teal. The Super Saiyan transformation settled into place with less resistance than on Tatooine. Energy crackled through the room, making instruments flicker and causing several officers to step back instinctively. "This is Super Saiyan," Goku explained, his voice slightly different in this form, more confident, more focused. "It's a transformation that multiplies my base power by 50 times. Where I'm from, it was considered a legend until I achieved it fighting Frieza." 50 times, Mon Mothma repeated faintly. "And you said this is 75% of your full power?" "Well, 75% of what I can do in this universe," Goku clarified. "Back home, I have access to stronger forms. Super Saiyan Blue, which combines Super Saiyan with Godly Kai, and Ultra Instinct, which lets my body react without thinking. But those feel even further away here. The dimensional barrier is making it hard to access my highest levels." He powered down, his hair returning to black. "Even so, this should be enough to help with whatever you need. What exactly does the rebellion do? Leia mentioned fighting the Empire, but what's the actual plan?" The question was so direct, so innocent of political complexity, that several officers looked offended. But Mon Mothma smiled gently. "The plan, Goku, is survival. The Empire controls most of the galaxy through fear, overwhelming military might, and the Emperor's command of the dark side. We fight where we can, rescue who we can, and hope that eventually we'll find a weakness that can bring the entire system down." "You mean like the Death Star?" Luke interjected. "We destroyed it, proved the Empire wasn't invincible." "And they're already building another," Akbar said grimly. "Intelligence suggests construction has begun in the Endor system. Larger, more powerful, with defenses specifically designed to counter starfighter attacks." Goku frowned, processing this. "So you're stuck in a cycle. They build super weapons, you destroy them, they build bigger ones. That doesn't solve the root problem." "Which is?" Mon Mothma asked, genuinely curious about his perspective. "The Emperor and Vader," Goku said immediately. "From what everyone's told me, they're the ones really in charge. Take them out, and the Empire falls apart, right?" "It's not that simple," Leia objected. "The Imperial military structure runs deep. Even without the Emperor, there are Grand Moffs, Fleet Admirals, entire systems that profit from Imperial rule. Cutting off the head won't kill this beast." "Maybe," Goku acknowledged, "but it'd definitely slow it down and give people a chance to choose freedom instead of having fear forced on them." He looked at Mon Mothma directly. "You want my help? Give me a mission, something where my power can make a real difference." The rebel leaders exchanged looks, a silent conversation happening in glances and subtle gestures. Finally, Akbar brought up a new holographic display. An Imperial facility orbiting a gas giant, bristling with weapons and surrounded by TIE fighter patrols. "This is an Imperial prison complex holding political dissidents, captured rebel operatives, and force-sensitive individuals awaiting transfer to Inquisitor facilities. 300 souls minimum, possibly more. We've wanted to rescue them for months, but the defenses are too strong. Any conventional assault would be suicide. We'd lose ships and personnel with minimal chance of success. But with someone who can survive in vacuum, move faster than targeting computers, and shrug off blaster fire," one officer said skeptically. "Still difficult, but potentially feasible." "I can't survive in vacuum," Goku corrected. "I need air like anyone else. But I can hold my breath for a really long time, and I'm fast enough to minimize exposure." He studied the hologram, his martial artist's mind already planning approach vectors and attack patterns. "What's the plan? I fly in, break the prison open, get everyone out while you guys provide extraction?" "Essentially," Akbar confirmed, "though the complications are substantial. The facility has anti-starfighter cannons, shield generators, and at least 2 Star Destroyer escorts in system. Once you breach the prison, we'd have perhaps 15 minutes before overwhelming Imperial reinforcements arrive." "15 minutes is plenty," Goku said confidently. "When do we leave?" "Tomorrow," Mon Mothma decided. "That gives our pilots time to prepare, and gives you time to rest and recover. Luke, continue teaching him about the Force. If he can learn even basic sensing techniques, it could prove invaluable." As the meeting dispersed, a Bothan intelligence officer approached nervously. "Chancellor Mothma, We've received disturbing reports from our Coruscant informants. The Emperor has dispatched inquisitors to multiple systems, specifically targeting locations where Goku was reported. They're not trying to capture him. They're trying to draw him out by threatening civilians. The room went cold. Goku's expression darkened. What does that mean exactly? It means, Leia said quietly, that the Empire is using innocent people as bait. Attack a village, let word spread that they'll stop if you surrender. It's a tactic they've used before to flush out Jedi survivors. Rage bubbled up in Goku's chest, not the hot anger of his Saiyan nature, but the cold fury that came from seeing innocents used as pawns. He'd felt this way when Frieza killed Krillin, when Cell threatened his son, when Boo destroyed the Earth. Where are they hitting? Multiple targets, the Bothan replied, pulling up data. Small settlements on the outer rim, places with no strategic value. They're testing you and seeing if you'll respond. Of course I'll respond. Goku's aura flared, golden involuntarily. We can't just let people die, which is exactly what the Emperor wants, Mon Mothma said firmly. He's manipulating you, Goku. Every time you respond to these attacks, you reveal your location, your capabilities, and your weaknesses. He's studying you the way a scientist studies an experiment. I don't care, Goku said flatly. I'm not letting people die just to keep myself safe. That's not who I am. Luke put a hand on his shoulder. Then we're coming with you. The rebellion can't afford to have the Emperor learn everything about you before we've even begun working together. But we also can't abandon people to die. So we compromise, we respond to one attack, save who we can, and retreat before the trap fully springs. It's still a risk, Akbar warned. The Emperor doesn't make moves without contingencies. Whatever we're walking into, it will be designed to counter us. Good, Goku said, his warrior smile returning despite the grim situation. I fight better when it's challenging anyway. Mon Mothma sighed, recognizing the futility of arguing with someone whose moral code was so straightforward it left no room for strategic patience. Very well. We respond to one incursion, the closest one on Lothal. It's a manufacturing world with Imperial presence, but also a local resistance cell. If we're fast, we can evacuate civilians and escape before heavier forces arrive. Lothal it is, Goku agreed. Then more softly, thank you for trusting me. I know I'm an outsider here, and you're taking a big risk. The rebellion was built on risks, Leia said. One more won't make much difference. But her eyes held worry, not for the mission, but for what the Emperor might have planned for this warrior who dropped into their galaxy like a stone into still water. As they prepared for departure, Luke pulled Goku aside to a training area deep within the temple. Before we go, there's something you should try. You said the Force feels similar to your ki, right? Similar but different, Goku confirmed. Your Force is everywhere, connecting everything. My Kai is individual, personal, but yeah, there's overlap. Luke ignited his lightsaber, the blue blade humming. Then try this. Don't think of the Force as something external. Think of it as an extension of your ki, reaching out beyond your body. Feel the life around you, not just people, but the plants, the animals, even the stones. Everything is connected. Goku closed his eyes, letting his Kai sense expand the way he normally would to detect power levels. But instead of searching for concentrated energy, he tried to feel everything, the way Luke described. At first, nothing. Then gradually impressions began forming. The warmth of life in the temple, the coolness of ancient stone, the focused determination of pilots preparing their fighters. I feel something, Goku said slowly. It's faint, like trying to hear a whisper in a crowded room. But it's there. That's the Force, Luke said excitedly. You're actually sensing it. Most people train for years to reach this point. Maybe because my Ki sense is already developed, Goku theorized. I'm just adapting what I know to your universe's energy. He opened his eyes, grinning. This is great. If I can learn to use your Force, maybe I can access my higher transformations again. It's all energy in the end, right? Perhaps, Luke said, though he looked uncertain. Though the Force requires balance. The Jedi teach that attachment, passion, and anger lead to the dark side. Your fighting style, your love of battle, It might conflict with traditional Jedi teachings. Good thing I'm not trying to be a Jedi then, Goku said cheerfully. I'll just be me, using whatever tools are available. That's always worked before. Luke couldn't help but smile at that simple philosophy. In a galaxy where everything was complicated by politics, prophecy, and ancient rivalries, Goku's straightforward approach was oddly refreshing. Tomorrow, they would fly to Lothal. They would face whatever trap the Emperor had prepared, and Goku would prove that sometimes overwhelming power and a pure heart were enough to change destiny. But tonight, in the Emperor's throne room on Coruscant, Palpatine was watching recordings of Goku's fight with Vader, his withered face split by a grotesque smile. "Send word to the Inquisitorius," he commanded. "I want the Grand Inquisitor deployed to Lothal, along with the fifth brother and seventh sister. Equip them with prototype lightning projectors, cortosis shields, and full authorization to use lethal force." His yellow eyes glowed in the darkness. "Let us see how this alien warrior handles opponents trained specifically to counter his abilities." The trap was set, and Goku, true to his nature, was walking straight into it. The hyperspace jump to Lothal took 6 hours, giving Goku his first real experience with faster-than-light travel. Unlike instant transmission, which felt like stepping through a door between spaces, hyperspace was a tunnel of swirling, blue-white energy that made his Saiyan instincts twitch with unease. He spent most of the journey in the Millennium Falcon's cargo hold. Han Solo had begrudgingly agreed to transport them after Leia made it clear this wasn't optional, meditating and trying to stabilize his ki in this universe. "Still can't believe we're babysitting some alien who thinks he can punch Star Destroyers," Han muttered from the cockpit, loud enough for everyone to hear. "He fought Vader to a standstill," Leia reminded him. "That's worth a little faith. Or it makes him a bigger target, which makes us bigger targets, which makes this whole thing—" "We're approaching Lothal," Chewbacca interrupted with a concerned roar, his Wookiee senses detecting something wrong. The proximity alarms began shrieking. Goku was in the cockpit instantly, moving faster than Han could track. "What's wrong?" "Imperial blockade," Han said grimly, bringing up the sensor display. 3 Star Destroyers hung in orbit around Lothal like predatory fish, TIE fighter swarms patrolling in precise formations. "This isn't normal garrison strength. They knew we were coming." "Of course they did," Luke said, his hand on his lightsaber. "The Emperor wanted us here. The question is, what's his trap?" Goku studied the display, counting ships. Hundreds of TIE fighters, dozens of transport craft, and those 3 massive wedge-shaped destroyers bristling with weapons. In his universe, he'd have simply powered up and blown through them. Here, with his abilities still adjusting, the math was more complicated. "Can this ship fight its way through?" he asked. "The Falcon's fast and tough, but she's not invincible," Han replied. 3 Star Destroyers can put enough firepower in space to vaporize us if they get a clean shot. Our only advantage is maneuverability." "Then get me close to the planet," Goku decided. "I'll handle the fighters. You guys focus on not getting hit by the big ships." "You'll handle the fighters," Han repeated flatly. "Kid, there are over 200 TIE fighters out there." "Is that supposed to be a lot?" Goku asked genuinely. Despite the tension, Leia laughed. "Just get us to the planet, Han." I'm starting to think he might actually be able to do it. The Falcon dropped out of hyperspace directly into the blockade zone, immediately drawing attention. Imperial Communications squawked demands for identification and surrender. Han ignored them, pushing the Falcon into a dive toward Lothal's atmosphere, while Chewbacca began powering up defensive shields. TIE fighters swarmed like insects, their distinctive screeching engines filling the void. Green laser fire converged on the Falcon from multiple vectors. Han threw the ship into a corkscrew roll, evading most of the barrage while the Falcon's quad laser cannons returned fire, claiming 2 TIEs in as many seconds. "Cargo ramp opening," Goku called from the back. "Don't worry, I'll close it when I jump." "Jump!" Han shouted. "We're in vacuum." "You'll die in—" But Goku was already gone, having leaped from the ramp into open space. He'd taken the deepest breath his Saiyan lungs could manage. Enough oxygen for perhaps 5 minutes if he remained calm, less if he exerted himself. Around him the stars wheeled dizzyingly, Lothal's brown and green surface rotating below, while TIE fighters adjusted their vectors to intercept. He powered up, golden light erupting in the void. The Super Saiyan transformation provided its own warmth against the absolute cold of space, his aura creating a thin envelope of heated air around his body. It wouldn't last long, but it didn't need to. Goku kicked off empty space, a technique he'd mastered years ago, using Kai to create platforms of solidified energy beneath his feet. He shot toward the nearest TIE fighter squadron at speeds that made them look stationary. The Imperial pilots barely had time to register his approach before he was among them. His first strike shattered a TIE's cockpit ball, the pilot ejecting automatically as the fighter spun out of control. Goku pulled the punch. Killing wasn't necessary, just disabling. He moved to the next fighter, then the next, his fists and feet striking with surgical precision. Solar panels shattered, engines exploded, but pilots survived, ejecting in emergency pods that would be retrieved later. The Imperial fleet responded with overwhelming force. Dozens of TIE fighters converged on Goku's position, filling space with enough laser fire to destroy a capital ship. Goku weaved between the bolts, his enhanced reflexes letting him track trajectories that would be invisible to normal eyes. When he couldn't dodge, he deflected, his Kai-wrapped hands batting aside energy blasts that would have pierced starship armor. On the bridge of the lead Star Destroyer, the captain watched the sensor readings with growing disbelief. He's destroying an entire fighter wing single-handedly, in vacuum, without a ship. The Emperor warned us he was anomalous, the tactical officer replied. Deploy the Inquisitors. They're our only chance of containing him. 3 figures emerged from a shuttle that had been waiting in the Star Destroyer's shadow. Humanoid shapes wearing dark armor and carrying double-bladed lightsabers. The Grand Inquisitor led them, his pale skin and red Sith tattoos marking him as something other than human. Beside him, the 5th brother's bulk and the 7th sister's agile frame represented 2 very different but equally deadly approaches to hunting Force sensitives. They couldn't survive in vacuum either, but their suits were equipped with limited life support and magnetic boots that let them walk along the Star Destroyer's hull. And they'd been briefed extensively on their target, his fighting style, his tendency to hold back against opponents he perceived as weaker, his moral code that prevented killing unnecessarily. Forget the Jedi, the Grand Inquisitor commanded his subordinates. This one requires a different approach. Overwhelm him immediately. No testing, no probing. Maximum force from the start. Goku was starting to feel the burn in his lungs. He'd been fighting in vacuum for nearly 3 minutes, and even Saiyan physiology had limits. He needed to end this quickly and get to Lothal's surface where he could breathe. He gathered energy in his palm, preparing a Kai blast that would disable multiple fighters simultaneously. That's when the Inquisitor struck. The Grand Inquisitor's double-bladed lightsaber spun like a lethal disc, the red blades creating a whirling barrier of plasma death as he closed the distance with force-enhanced speed. Goku sensed the attack and dodged, but the 5th brother was already there, his massive fist wreathed in dark side energy smashing toward Goku's head. Goku blocked, his forearm meeting the Inquisitor's fist. The impact sent shockwaves rippling through space, the concussive force enough to shatter nearby TIE fighters caught in the blast radius. But Goku felt the dark side energy trying to invade his body, seeking to corrupt or disable his ki flow. The 7th sister attacked from behind, her lightsaber thrusting toward Goku's spine. He spun and kicked, his boot catching her lightsaber and deflecting the strike. But the blade scored a line across his leg, burning through his GI and searing flesh. The pain was sharp and immediate, reminding him that these weapons were genuinely dangerous. He needed air. His lungs were screaming now, the oxygen debt mounting. But the Inquisitors weren't giving him space to disengage. They fought with coordinated precision, their dark side connection allowing them to anticipate each other's moves and create overlapping kill zones. The Grand Inquisitor's spinning lightsaber forced Goku into the 5th brother's crushing grip. The larger Inquisitor caught Goku's arm, dark side lightning arcing from his free hand directly into Goku's body. Goku screamed, no sound in vacuum, but the agony was real, and his golden aura flickered. The 7th sister was already moving in for the kill, her lightsaber aimed at his throat. Goku did the only thing he could. He stopped holding back. His aura exploded outward with enough force to send all three Inquisitors tumbling through space. The Super Saiyan transformation intensified, pushing towards Super Saiyan 2, his hair becoming slightly more rigid, electricity crackling through his golden aura. The strain on his body in this universe was immense, like lifting a weight far beyond his normal capacity, but he held it through sheer willpower. He moved faster than they could track. The fifth brother's helmet cracked under a precisely placed kick that sent him spiraling toward Lothal's atmosphere. The seventh sister barely raised her lightsaber before Goku's fist connected with her midsection, the impact driving the air from her lungs and disabling her suit's life support. She'd be unconscious in seconds, alive but out of the fight. That left the Grand Inquisitor, who'd managed to arrest his tumble, and was charging back toward Goku with his spinning blade extended. The Pawan's face showed no fear, only cold calculation. "Impressive," the Grand Inquisitor's voice crackled over an open comm channel. "But you're suffocating. Your movements are slower, your reactions degraded. In another minute, you'll be unconscious. All I need to do is survive until then." He was right. Goku's vision was starting to tunnel, black creeping in at the edges. His body was screaming for oxygen, his cells dying from lack of air. Even pushing past his limits, biology had its boundaries. So Goku stopped fighting and started fleeing. He kicked off toward Lothal at maximum speed, the planet's atmosphere calling like a lifeline. The Grand Inquisitor pursued, his force powers allowing him to manipulate his trajectory through space. TIE fighters reformed around them, trying to cut off Goku's escape vector. Goku gathered every bit of remaining strength and unleashed a Kamehameha, not at the Inquisitor or the fighters, but at the space between him and the planet. The massive wave of energy carved a tunnel through the TIE formations, vaporizing fighters that couldn't dodge in time and creating a clear path to atmosphere. He shot through the gap, the Grand Inquisitor close behind. Then Goku hit Lothal's upper atmosphere, friction turning his aura into a meteor as he plummeted. He gasped, pulling in thin but present oxygen, his Saiyan constitution immediately beginning to recover. The Grand Inquisitor, lacking such durability, was forced to slow his pursuit, his suit's heat shields barely adequate for controlled atmospheric entry. Goku descended over Lothal's capital city, where smoke rose from multiple fires. The Imperial raid was already underway. Stormtroopers were rounding up civilians, local resistance fighters putting up desperate defense, and in the city center, a massive transport ship was loading prisoners bound for Imperial detention facilities. He landed in the middle of the plaza, his Super Saiyan 2 aura blazing like a beacon. Stormtroopers immediately opened fire. Goku didn't even dodge. The blaster bolts splashed harmlessly against his aura, dissipating before they could touch his skin. "Everyone get back," Goku shouted to the civilians. "I'm here to help." The Millennium Falcon roared overhead, Han and Chewie providing air support while Luke and Leia began coordinating the evacuation. The rebels on the ground rallied, emboldened by Goku's presence and the sudden shift in momentum. Then the Grand Inquisitor landed behind Goku, his double-bladed lightsaber igniting. "You should have stayed in space and died cleanly. Now you'll suffer before the Emperor claims you." Goku turned, his teal eyes meeting the Inquisitor's red-rimmed gaze. "I've heard a lot of people say things like that. They were all wrong." He dropped into a fighting stance, his power fully recovered now that he could breathe. "Want to find out why?" The Grand Inquisitor's smile was predatory. "Oh, I think you'll find we Inquisitors are quite different from Lord Vader. We hunt your kind for sport." "Good," Goku said, his warrior's grin matching the Inquisitor's. "I was hoping for a real fight." Around them, the battle for Lothal intensified. But in that moment, in that plaza, only two warriors existed, one who hunted Force users with surgical precision, and one who'd fought gods and survived. The Grand Inquisitor attacked first, his spinning lightsaber creating a vortex of plasma. Goku met him head-on, and the real fight began. The Grand Inquisitor's spinning lightsaber technique was hypnotic, a deadly wheel of crimson plasma designed to overwhelm opponents with unpredictable angles and constant pressure. Against most Jedi survivors, it was devastatingly effective. Against Goku, it was merely interesting. Goku's martial arts training had exposed him to thousands of weapon styles across multiple universes. Master Roshi had taught him staff techniques, King Kai had drilled him in cosmic combat forms, and Whis had shown him movements that transcended conventional fighting entirely. A spinning blade? That was just another pattern to decode. He dodged the first rotation by millimeters, feeling the heat wash over his face. The second rotation he ducked under, his hands shooting out to strike the Inquisitor's exposed torso. His fist connected with cortosis weave armor that dispersed the kinetic impact. But the Grand Inquisitor still grunted and stumbled backward. Cortosis, the Padawan explained, tapping his chest plate, specifically designed to resist lightsabers and absorb kinetic force. The Emperor spared no expense preparing us for you. Smart, Goku acknowledged, but armor only helps if I can't hit you hard enough to break through it. He vanished. True speed, not instant transmission, and reappeared behind the Inquisitor. His kick would have shattered a normal being's spine, cortosis or not. The Grand Inquisitor twisted with force-enhanced reflexes, his spinning blade intercepting Goku's boot. The lightsaber bit into his Kai-reinforced flesh, drawing blood and eliciting a hiss of pain from Goku. You see? The Inquisitor pressed his advantage, his blade work becoming more aggressive. Your energy barrier is not absolute. Sustained contact with plasma will burn through. And unlike that fool Vader, I know better than to engage in a direct power contest with you. He was right. The Grand Inquisitor fought like an assassin rather than a duelist. Quick strikes, immediate disengagement, never staying in one place long enough for Goku to land a decisive blow. He used the Force to hurl debris, create obstacles, and maintain distance while his lightsaber probed for weaknesses. Around them, the battle raged. Luke was dueling two stormtrooper squads, his blue lightsaber a blur of defensive forms. Leia coordinated the civilian evacuation, her diplomatic training allowing her to organize chaos into ordered retreat. Han and Chewie provided cover fire from the Falcon, its quad cannons tearing through Imperial ground vehicles. But more Imperials were arriving, AT-ST walkers stomping through the streets, additional stormtrooper transports disgorging fresh troops, and somewhere in the distance, the distinctive roar of TIE bomber engines approaching. You're stalling, Goku realized, blocking another spinning attack. Waiting for reinforcements to overwhelm my friends while you keep me busy. An adequate stratagem, the Grand Inquisitor admitted, his red eyes gleaming. The Emperor doesn't require your friends to survive. Only you. Once they're dead, you'll be isolated, vulnerable to manipulation. Perhaps the grief will make you more pliable. Rage flared in Goku's chest, hot and immediate. These people were using his friends as leverage, treating lives as disposable pieces in a game. It reminded him too much of the Red Ribbon Army, of Frieza's casual cruelty, of every tyrant who'd thought power gave them the right to decide who lived and died. His aura intensified, electricity crackling more violently through the golden energy. The Super Saiyan 2 transformation stabilized fully, his power surging despite the dimensional barriers trying to restrain it. The plaza's stones cracked beneath his feet from the sheer pressure of his ki. No more playing around, Goku said quietly, and the Grand Inquisitor actually took a step backward at the killing intent in those words. Goku moved, not with technique or strategy, but with overwhelming speed and power. His fist caught the spinning lightsaber mid-rotation, his Kai concentrated so densely that the plasma blade actually stopped against his palm. The Grand Inquisitor's eyes widened in shock. Nothing should be able to halt a lightsaber's rotation like that. Goku ripped the weapon from the Inquisitor's grip and crushed it. The kyber crystal inside shattered, the weapon dying with the electrical whine. Before the Grand Inquisitor could retreat, Goku's other hand was at his throat. Not choking, just holding, demonstrating absolute dominance. You were wrong about something, Goku said, his voice carrying that edge of restrained fury that Vegeta would have recognized, that Cell had heard before his defeat. I don't need to kill you to stop you. I just need to be faster, stronger, and smarter than every trap you set. He hurled the Grand Inquisitor skyward with precisely calculated force. Not enough to kill, but enough to send him arcing over the city's outskirts where he'd crash into uninhabited terrain. The Powan scream Dopplered away, his body spinning end over end until he was out of sight. With the Grand Inquisitor dealt with, Goku turned his attention to the larger battle. The ATST walkers were advancing on the civilian evacuation routes, their heavy blasters tearing through barricades. Goku flew toward them, his hands already forming the familiar kata. Ka, me, ha, me. The ATST pilots saw the Golden Warrior approaching and fired everything they had. Heavy blaster cannons, concussion grenades, anti-personnel lasers, all of it converged on Goku's position. He flew through the barrage untouched, his body weaving between deadly energy as naturally as breathing. Ha! The Kamehameha erupted from his palms, a focused blue-white beam of pure ki that struck the lead walker's cockpit. The metal didn't explode or vaporize. It simply ceased to exist, the energy passing through and dissipating harmlessly in the air beyond. The walker toppled, its pilots ejected automatically by emergency systems Goku hadn't known existed. He repeated the technique on the second walker, then the third, methodically dismantling the Imperial assault with precision that left infrastructure intact and casualties minimal. Each blast was carefully calibrated, enough power to disable, not destroy, enough force to stop the threat, not massacre the soldiers who were probably just following orders. Luke felt it through the Force, the sheer presence of Goku's power reshaping the battle's outcome. It wasn't the subtle influence of the Force, the gentle nudging of probability and perception that Jedi employed. It was direct, undeniable intervention through overwhelming strength. And yet, despite that power, despite the ease with which he could have killed everyone, Goku chose mercy. He's extraordinary, Luke breathed, deflecting a blaster bolt back at its shooter. Master Yoda told me the Force can have a powerful influence on the weak-minded, but Goku doesn't use influence. He just changes reality through will and power alone. Less philosophy, more shooting, Han yelled from the Falcon's gun port, taking down a TIE bomber before it could release its payload on the evacuation convoy. The Imperial forces were retreating now, their morale broken by the Golden Warrior who dismantled their best equipment like it was made of cardboard. Stormtroopers fell back to their transports, ATSTs that could still move withdrew, and the TIE fighters scattered rather than face the being who destroyed dozens of their comrades in space. Goku landed beside Leia, powering down to conserve energy. His Super Saiyan form flickered out, returning him to base state. How many civilians did we save? Nearly 800, Leia reported, her datapad showing evacuation statistics. More than we hoped, though we lost 12 resistance fighters and the city's infrastructure is severely damaged. She looked at him with an expression mixing gratitude and concern. You fought with restraint even when they were trying to kill you. Why? Because most of those soldiers probably don't even understand what they're fighting for, Goku replied, watching Imperial transports flee into the sky. They're just doing what they're told, following orders. Killing them wouldn't stop the Empire. It'd just make more widows and orphans who'd have reason to hate us. That's remarkably compassionate for someone with your power, Leia said softly. My master Roshi taught me that martial arts exist to protect people, not hurt them, Goku explained. Power without purpose is just destruction. Power with purpose can change the world. He grinned suddenly. Besides, fighting people weaker than me isn't fun. I'd rather convince them to get stronger and challenge me when they're ready. Despite everything, the battle, the casualties, the Empire's looming threat, Leia laughed. You're insane. Wonderfully, impossibly insane. Luke approached, deactivating his lightsaber. The Grand Inquisitor is down but not dead. I can sense him in the Force. Angry, humiliated, but alive. He'll report back to the Emperor. Good, Goku said. Maybe that'll make them think twice before attacking innocent people to get to me. Or it'll make them send even worse, Han interjected, walking down the Falcon's ramp with Chewbacca. Kid, you just embarrassed one of the Empire's elite hunter-killers and destroyed an entire Imperial operation without breaking a sweat. That doesn't make them scared. It makes them obsessed. As if to punctuate his point, every Imperial comlink in the area suddenly crackled to life with the same transmission. A holographic image that appeared on every device, every screen, every communication system still functioning. Emperor Palpatine's withered face filled the displays, his yellow eyes seeming to stare directly at Goku. Son Goku, the Emperor's voice was oily, filled with false warmth that couldn't disguise the malice beneath. You have proven most entertaining, a warrior from beyond the stars, wielding power that defies the Force itself. Magnificent. Goku stepped forward, staring at the hologram. You're the Emperor? The one behind all this? I am Darth Sidious, Emperor of the Galactic Empire, Master of the dark side of the Force. Palpatine's smile was predatory. And I have a proposition for you, young warrior. Join me. Become my champion, my enforcer, and I will give you what you truly desire, opponents worthy of your strength. Lord Vader, the Inquisitorius, my royal guards, all at your disposal for combat, unlimited challenges, endless growth. And in exchange, Goku asked, though his expression suggested he already knew the answer. You serve the Empire's interests, you crush rebellions, eliminate threats, ensure order throughout the galaxy. Palpatine leaned forward, his yellow eyes gleaming. Think of it, Goku. No more holding back, no more restraint. Just pure combat against the galaxy's finest warriors, with the Empire's resources ensuring you always face the strongest opponents. For a moment, the plaza was silent. Everyone watched Goku, wondering if the Emperor's offer would tempt him. The promise of endless, strong opponents was precisely what a Saiyan lived for. The chance to fight, to grow, to push beyond every limit. Goku's expression was thoughtful. Then he smiled, not his usual friendly grin, but something harder, colder. You know what? That almost sounds good, except for one thing. His eyes locked onto Palpatine's through the hologram. I've met plenty of people who offered me power, position, and perfect opponents if I'd just do what they wanted. They were all bad guys trying to manipulate me into helping them hurt innocent people. His aura flickered golden for just a moment. So here's my counteroffer. Surrender. Disband the Empire. Free everyone you've imprisoned. Let the galaxy choose its own path. Do that, and I won't have to come to Coruscant and make you. The Emperor's face went very still. Then he began to laugh, a horrible rasping sound like metal scraping bone. Marvelous! Such defiance, such pride. You truly are a warrior worth collecting. The laughter died. But you misunderstand your position, son Goku. You are one being in a galaxy of trillions. You cannot be everywhere. You cannot protect everyone. And I am patient. The hologram shifted, showing different locations across the galaxy. Hospitals, schools, residential zones on dozens of worlds. These facilities contain millions of civilians. At my command, they can be liquidated, instantly, completely. All I need do is give the order. Goku's fists clenched, his kai flaring involuntarily. But I am merciful, Palpatine continued. Surrender yourself to Imperial custody, and these facilities remain untouched. Continue this futile resistance, and every death is on your conscience. You have 48 hours to decide. Choose wisely, warrior from beyond the stars. The transmission ended, leaving only static and the sound of Lothal's wind carrying ash from burning buildings. He's bluffing, Han said, though his voice lacked conviction. Even the Empire wouldn't. He's not bluffing, Luke interrupted, his face pale. I can feel it in the Force. He means every word. If Goku doesn't surrender, millions will die. Goku stood silently, his expression unreadable. Inside, he was calculating, weighing options, considering strategies, trying to find a way where nobody had to die. But this wasn't like fighting Frieza or Cell. Those had been simple. Beat the bad guy, save the day. This was leverage, hostages, innocent lives held ransom against his freedom. I need to think, Goku said quietly. Give me some time alone. He lifted off before anyone could argue, flying toward Lothal's wilderness, where he could meditate without distraction. As he disappeared into the distance, the rebels exchanged worried glances. If he surrenders, the Emperor wins, Leia said. He'll study Goku, find his weaknesses, and eventually turn him into a weapon. And if he doesn't, Luke finished grimly, millions die and the blame falls on the rebellion for harboring him. The Emperor's trap had finally sprung, not with armies or weapons, but with the one thing Goku couldn't fight his way through: moral impossibility. In orbit above Lothal, Darth Vader watched the planet below, his mechanical breathing steady. He knew what decision Goku would make. Warriors like him, warriors with that spark of nobility, always made the same choice when innocents were threatened. "Prepare my shuttle," Vader commanded. "When he surrenders, I will be waiting to receive him." But elsewhere in the galaxy, in the depths of Yavin 4's ancient temples, Mon Mothma was already assembling a desperate plan. Because if there was one thing the rebellion understood, it was fighting impossible odds. The war for Goku's soul and the galaxy's future had only just begun. Goku sat cross-legged on a cliff overlooking Lothal's grasslands, watching the twin suns descend toward the horizon. In his home universe, he'd meditated like this before every major decision, before fighting Frieza, before the Cell Games, before facing Majin Buu. The technique Whis had taught him: empty the mind, feel the universe's flow, find the answer in stillness rather than action. But this universe's energy, the Force, kept intruding on his meditation. It wasn't aggressive or hostile. It simply existed everywhere, connecting everything, showing him connections he wasn't ready to understand. He could feel the life in the grass, the prey animals hiding from predators, the insects conducting their tiny wars, and beyond that, faintly, the suffering of beings across the galaxy who lived under imperial oppression. "This is harder than fighting," he muttered. "At least in a fight, you know who to punch." "Perhaps that is precisely why the Emperor chose this tactic," a voice said behind him. Goku turned to see a shimmering blue figure, translucent, glowing, clearly not alive in the conventional sense. An old man with kind eyes and Jedi robes, his ghostly form emanating warmth despite being intangible. Goku's key sense registered the presence as something between living and not living, energy given consciousness, but no true body. "Whoa," Goku said. "You're dead, but also not dead. How does that work?" The figure smiled. "I am Obi-Wan Kenobi, once a Jedi Knight. I exist as one with the Force now, able to manifest to those who need guidance." He sat beside Goku, or appeared to sit, his form not quite touching the ground. "Luke told me about you before I passed, a warrior from beyond our universe, fighting tyranny with pure heart and overwhelming power. I thought he was exaggerating." "You're Luke's master," Goku realized. "The one Vader killed. I'm sorry. Do not be. Death is not an ending, merely a transformation." Obi-Wan studied Goku with the assessing gaze of someone who'd trained warriors his entire life. "I've watched your battles. You fight with skill equal to the greatest Jedi Masters, yet you use no Force techniques. Your power comes from within yourself alone." "Yeah, that's Kai," Goku explained. "It's different from your Force, but maybe similar enough. I've been trying to understand it, but your universe's energy works on different rules. The Force is about connection, harmony, balance," Obi-Wan said. "Your ki seems more individual, personal strength rather than universal energy. Yet I sense no darkness in you, despite your love of combat. That is rare." "Fighting isn't about darkness or light where I come from," Goku said. "It's about pushing limits, getting stronger, protecting people you care about. Sure, some people fight for bad reasons, but the fighting itself isn't evil. It's just fighting." Obi-Wan chuckled. "The Jedi Council would have lengthy debates about that philosophy, but I think you may have wisdom they lacked." His expression grew serious. "The Emperor has put you in an impossible position. Surrender means becoming a weapon against the innocent. Refusal means those innocents die. There is no clean victory here." "I know," Goku admitted, his frustration evident. "Back home, I could solve problems with strength. Someone threatened Earth? I'd get stronger and beat them. But here, being strong isn't enough. The Emperor's not threatening people I can protect directly. He's threatening people across the entire galaxy, all at once." "So what will you do?" Goku was silent for a long moment, watching the suns paint the sky in shades of orange and purple. Finally, he spoke. "When I fought Cell, This bio-android who wanted to destroy everything. I had a choice. I could keep fighting him myself, or I could trust my son Gohan to finish the battle. Everyone thought I was crazy. Gohan was just a kid, untrained, scared. But I saw something in him, potential that surpassed even mine. You trusted others to carry the burden, Obi-Wan said, understanding dawning. Right. I can't be everywhere at once. I can't protect the entire galaxy by myself. But maybe I don't have to. Goku stood, his decision crystallizing. The rebellion has resources, intelligence networks, and people who know this galaxy way better than I do. If the Emperor expects me to surrender or let millions die, maybe there's a third option nobody's seeing yet. That option being, hit the Emperor so hard and so fast that he doesn't have time to give the order, Goku said, his warrior's grin returning. You said he's on Coruscant, right? The capital world? If I can get there before his deadline, disable his ability to communicate with those facilities, then he loses his leverage. Obi-Wan's ghostly form flickered with surprise. Coruscant is the most heavily defended world in the galaxy. Thousands of ships, millions of soldiers, and the Emperor himself with his elite guards and Darth Vader. Even with your power, I've attacked worse stronghold, Goku interrupted. Frieza's ship was basically a flying fortress. King Piccolo had conquered an entire world. Majin Buu destroyed planets for fun. I'm not saying it'll be easy, but impossible just means I need to train harder and fight smarter. The ghost of Obi-Wan studied him for a long moment, then laughed, a sound filled with genuine joy. You're either magnificently brave or magnificently insane. Possibly both. His smile faded. But if you're going to assault Coruscant, you'll need help. The rebellion can provide intelligence, create diversions, and possibly— No, Goku said firmly. I won't risk your people on this. The Emperor's trap was aimed at me specifically. I'm not letting others die because I couldn't solve my own problem. And that, Obi-Wan said softly, is why you'll succeed where so many Jedi failed. You understand that true strength isn't just power, it's taking responsibility for that power. He began to fade, his time in the physical realm ending. May the Force be with you, son Goku. And when you face the Emperor, remember that the dark side's greatest weapon isn't lightning or hate, it's despair. Don't let him make you believe you've already lost. The ghost vanished completely, leaving Goku alone on the cliff as the last sun dipped below the horizon. But he felt centered now, focused. He had 48 hours to reach Coruscant, infiltrate the most secure facility in the galaxy, and stop the Emperor from massacring millions. Just another Tuesday, really. He flew back to the rebel base at speed, arriving to find the command team assembled in the war room. Luke, Leia, Han, Mon Mothma, Admiral Akbar, and several other rebel leaders all looked up as he entered, their expressions mixing hope and dread. I'm not surrendering, Goku announced immediately, but I'm also not letting people die. So here's the plan. I'm going to Coruscant. I'm going to stop the Emperor before he can give his kill order. And I need your help with intelligence, not soldiers. The room erupted in objections. Suicide, one officer declared. Impossible, another added. Coruscant has never been successfully infiltrated. Actually, a new voice interjected from the doorway. It has been. Once. Everyone turned to see a figure in Mandalorian armor, blue and silver Beskar plates, helmet with a distinctive T-shaped visor, and enough weapons to fight a small war. The Mandalorian removed his helmet, revealing a scarred human face with calculating eyes. Name's Fen Rao, the Mandalorian said. I've been working with the rebellion on special operations, and before the Empire rose, I ran intelligence missions into Coruscant's heart for the Republic. He looked at Goku with frank assessment. You're the golden warrior everyone's talking about, the one who fought Vader. That's me, Goku confirmed. You really know how to get into Coruscant undetected? Know it. I mapped it. Fen Rao pulled up holographic schematics, maintenance tunnels, forgotten transit systems, blind spots in the planetary defense grid. The Empire's security is focused outward, watching for fleets and armies. A single infiltrator using old Republic routes? Possible if you're good enough. I'm good enough, Goku said confidently. But I'll need exact coordinates for the Emperor's location and information on his guard's capabilities. The Emperor resides in the Imperial Palace. Akbar provided, overlaying new data on the hologram. Former Jedi Temple, rebuilt and fortified. He's protected by the Imperial Royal Guard. 8 elite warriors trained in lightsaber combat and darkside techniques. And of course, Darth Vader is often at his side. Plus whatever other defenses he's prepared specifically for you, Leia added. The Emperor knew you'd choose this path. He's had time to plan. Good, Kadi, Goku said. That means he's taking me seriously. Master Roshi always said the best victories come against opponents who give their all. He turned to Mon Mothma. I need one thing from the rebellion. Create a distraction. Something big enough to pull Imperial attention away from Coruscant, even temporarily. Mon Mothma exchanged glances with Akbar. We've been planning an assault on the Imperial shipyards at Kuwait for months. It's always been considered too risky. The defense is too strong. But if we committed our entire fleet, we'd lose ships, maybe the whole fleet, an officer protested. For a diversionary attack? For a chance to stop the Emperor permanently? Leia countered. That's worth any cost. Luke stepped forward. I'm coming with you, Goku, to Coruscant. You'll need someone who understands the Force, who can sense Imperial traps. Luke, no, Leia began. Yes, Luke said firmly. This is exactly what Master Yoda trained me for. Facing the darkness, trusting in the Force. Besides, he smiled at Goku, someone needs to make sure he doesn't get lost in Coruscant's lower levels. Goku considered this, then nodded. Okay, but just you. And only if you can keep up with my speed. This'll be a fast insertion, faster extraction. There's one more thing, Fen Rao said, his expression troubled. The Emperor's kill order, the one threatening millions of civilians. You're assuming he'll issue it from Coruscant's central command? But what if he's already distributed the order to regional governors, programmed to execute automatically unless he sends an abort code? The room fell silent as everyone absorbed the implications. Even if Goku reached the Emperor, even if he defeated him, the massacre could still happen if they couldn't stop the distributed command structure. Then we need a slicing team, Leia said, already thinking 3 steps ahead. R2-D2 and our best codebreakers, infiltrating Imperial communications networks simultaneously with Goku's assault. They'll need to find and disable those kill orders before they execute. A 3-pronged attack, Akbar mused, his tactical mind assembling the pieces. Fleet assault on Kuwait draws main Imperial forces. Goku and Luke infiltrate Coruscant to neutralize the Emperor. Technical teams hack Imperial communications to disable the kill orders. Risky, but potentially viable. It's not risky, Goku corrected. It's impossible, which makes it perfect. Impossible is just another word for hasn't been done yet. Despite the tension, despite the astronomical stakes, several people in the room smiled. There was something infectious about Goku's confidence, his refusal to accept defeat before even trying. Very well, Mon Mothma said, her leadership voice cutting through the murmurs. We commit to this plan. The assault on Kuwait begins in 36 hours. That gives our fleet time to assemble and gives you, Goku, time to reach Coruscant. May the Force be with us all. The meeting dispersed, people rushing to their assignments. Luke caught up with Goku in the corridor. You know the Emperor is probably predicting this exact plan, right? He's manipulating you into coming to him. Probably, Goku agreed cheerfully. But here's the thing about traps. They only work if the person walking into them isn't strong enough to break through. And I'm betting I'm stronger than whatever he's prepared. That's not strategic thinking, Luke said. That's just brute force confidence. Hey, it's worked every time so far. Goku clapped Luke on the shoulder. Besides, I've got you watching my back. Between your Force senses and my fighting skills, we'll be fine. Luke wanted to argue, to point out all the ways this could go catastrophically wrong. But looking at Goku's genuine smile, his absolute certainty that protecting others was worth any risk, Luke found his own doubt fading. My master used to say, do or do not. There is no try, Luke said. I guess this is our do moment. I like that, Goku said. Your master sounds like he was pretty wise. As they prepared for the most dangerous mission either had ever undertaken, neither noticed the shadowy figure watching from a high vantage point. The figure's eyes glowed yellow beneath a hood, and when it spoke into a communicator, its voice was filled with malicious satisfaction. Master, they've taken the bait. The Saiyan warrior will come to Coruscant just as you predicted. All preparations should be finalized. On the other end, Emperor Palpatine's laughter echoed through the communication. Excellent. When he arrives, he will learn that some traps are built not to capture, but to kill, and his death will break the rebellion's spirit forever. The countdown had begun. In 36 hours, the fate of millions would be decided in the heart of the Empire's power. And Goku, warrior from beyond the stars, was walking straight into the darkness. The approach to Coruscant was nothing like Goku had imagined. The entire planet was a city, billions of lights covering every surface, massive skyscrapers reaching into space, traffic lanes filled with thousands of ships moving in choreographed patterns. And surrounding it all, the Imperial Defense Grid, star destroyers in geosynchronous orbit, defense platforms bristling with weapons, and sensor networks that could detect a pebble entering atmosphere. That's a lot of ships, Goku said from the passenger seat of the modified stealth shuttle Fen Rao had provided. 37 star destroyers in immediate orbit, Luke confirmed, studying the sensor readouts. Hundreds more within quick response distance, plus the orbital defense platforms, fighter patrols, and whatever the Emperor has hidden in reserve. This is the most heavily defended location in the galaxy. And we're just flying straight in? Goku asked. Not quite. Luke adjusted their approach vector, following coordinates Fen Rao had provided. We're using an old smuggling route through Coruscant's industrial sector. The Empire monitors it, but they allow certain transactions to continue because it gives them intelligence on criminal networks. Our fake transponder identifies us as spice runners from Kessel. Smart, Goku admitted. So we're pretending to be criminals to avoid attention from the space cops. That's basically what Bulma used to do with police radar detectors back home. The shuttle descended through Coruscant's upper atmosphere, joining a traffic lane with dozens of other vessels. Goku pressed his face against the viewport, marveling at the scale. Buildings stretched down for kilometers, entire ecosystems existing in the spaces between towers. Advertisements in languages he couldn't read flashed across surfaces the size of city blocks. How do people even breathe here? Goku wondered. Where's the nature? The trees and animals? There isn't any, Luke said quietly. Not at these levels. All the natural environment was paved over thousands of years ago. The rich live in the upper levels where the air is cleanest and the light brightest. The poor exist in the lower levels, where sunlight never reaches and pollution is dense enough to see. That's terrible, Goku said, his expression troubled. A whole planet without nature? No wonder the Empire is messed up. They forgot what they're supposed to protect. They descended past the gleaming upper levels, past the commercial districts, down into the industrial zones where maintenance workers and factory drones kept the planet city functioning. Here, Imperial oversight was lighter. Corruption and criminal activity were tolerated as necessary evils. Their shuttle landed in an abandoned manufacturing facility, its hollow interior perfect for concealment. From here we go on foot, Luke said, checking his lightsaber and the map Fen Rao had provided. The Imperial Palace is 73 levels up and 40 kilometers north. The maintenance tunnels will get us close, but the last kilometer is heavily guarded. That's where things get complicated. How complicated? Royal Guard, Sith apprentices, possibly Vader himself, and every security system the Empire can deploy, Luke listed grimly, plus whatever specific countermeasures the Emperor prepared for you. Goku grinned. So a normal Tuesday. They moved through Coruscant's underbelly, vast tunnels that carried power, water, and waste for the levels above. Maintenance droids ignored them, their programming not configured to report suspicious activity in sectors this low. Occasionally they passed beings living in the tunnels, refugees, criminals, forgotten people who'd fallen through society's cracks. The Emperor rules a galaxy, Goku said softly, watching a group of children huddled around a thermal vent for warmth. But he doesn't even take care of people on his own capital world. The Empire's philosophy is that the strong deserve power and the weak deserve suffering, Luke explained. These people are invisible to Imperial policy. They exist to serve, and when they can't serve anymore, they're discarded. That's wrong, Goku said, his ki flaring involuntarily. Strength should protect people, not hurt them. Power should lift people up, not push them down. That's why we're here, Luke reminded him. To stop the person who built the system. They climbed for hours using service elevators and maintenance shafts to ascend through Coruscant's layers. The higher they climbed, the cleaner the environment became. Pollution giving way to filtered air, darkness replaced by artificial sunlight, decay transforming into architectural beauty. Finally, they reached the level where the Imperial Palace stood, a massive ziggurat of black stone and red-tinted viewports, surrounded by gardens that existed purely for aesthetic purposes. The contrast with the lower levels was obscene. Beauty purchased with suffering, order maintained through oppression. The Emperor's throne room is at the apex, Luke said, pointing to the highest tower. But to reach it, we'll need to fight through. I know, Goku interrupted, his ki sense suddenly screaming warnings. They're already here, waiting for us. From the shadows stepped figures in crimson armor, Imperial Royal Guards, 8 of them, their face-concealing helmets and force pikes marking them as the Emperor's elite protectors. Behind them, more figures emerged. Black-armored Inquisitors, their double-bladed lightsabers igniting in synchronized menace. And behind them all, the mechanical breathing that had become so familiar. Darth Vader stepped forward, his presence in the Force like a suffocating weight. We knew you would come. The Emperor always knew. This entire scenario, the threat, the deadline, your heroic infiltration, all of it was orchestrated precisely to bring you here. Yeah, I figured, Goku said, dropping into a fighting stance. But here's the thing about traps. I don't really care if I see them coming. I just break through anyway. Arrogance, Vader observed. You fought me once to a draw. You believe that makes you invincible. But the Emperor has prepared specifically for you, studied your every technique, identified your every weakness. Great! Goku's eyes lit up with battle excitement. Then this'll be a real challenge. Luke ignited his lightsaber, the blue blade humming to life. I'll handle the Inquisitors. You focus on Vader and the Royal Guard. You sure? Goku asked, concerned. That's a lot of opponents. I'm sure, Luke said, though his hands trembled slightly. This is what I trained for. Trust me, like you trusted Gohan against Cell. Goku studied his friend's face, saw the determination there, and nodded. Okay, but if you need help, yell really loud, I'll hear you. The battle erupted instantly. Luke leaped toward the Inquisitors, his lightsaber meeting theirs in a cascade of sparks. The Royal Guards moved as one, their force pikes crackling with energy as they surrounded Goku in a perfect formation. And Vader advanced with terrifying purpose, his crimson blade already seeking vulnerabilities. Goku powered up, golden light erupting around him as the Super Saiyan transformation took hold. He was faster now, his body fully acclimated to this universe's physical laws. The first Royal Guard thrust his pike at Goku's chest. Goku caught it one-handed, the electrical discharge coursing through his Kai-protected palm harmlessly. He yanked the weapon forward, pulling the guard off balance, and delivered a precise strike to the helmet that cracked the armor and sent the guard flying. But the other 7 were already attacking, their coordination perfect. Force pikes struck from multiple angles simultaneously, each attack timed to coincide with the others, creating a web of electrical death. Goku's speed let him weave between the strikes, his body flowing like water through the deadly pattern. Then Vader attacked, his lightsaber thrust aimed at Goku's spine while he was distracted. Goku sensed it, that concentration of malicious force energy, and twisted impossibly, his Kai-wrapped hand batting the blade aside. The lightsaber scored his palm, drawing blood, but Goku ignored the pain and countered with a kick that sent Vader skidding backward. You've improved, Vader acknowledged, his breathing steady despite the exchange. Your power flows more naturally here now, but improvement is not enough. He raised his hand, and the air itself became a weapon. Invisible pressure crushed down on Goku from all directions. Not just telekinesis, but the Force itself warping reality around him. Goku felt his bones creak, his muscles strain against pressure that would have pulverized a normal being instantly. He powered up harder, his aura exploding outward. Super Saiyan 2 stabilized fully, electricity crackling through his golden energy. The Force grip shattered like glass, and Goku vanished from sight. He reappeared behind Vader, moving faster than the Dark Lord's precognition could track. His fist connected with Vader's back, the impact echoing across the gardens like thunder. Vader flew forward, crashed through a decorative wall, and tumbled into the palace's lower gallery. The royal guards attacked with renewed intensity, but they were fighting something beyond their training. Goku moved through them like a dancer, each strike precisely calculated to disable without killing. Helmets cracked, pikes shattered, armor crumpled. But when each guard fell, they were unconscious, not dead. Luke was holding his own against the Inquisitors, his lightsaber work showing all the training he'd received. But there were too many, and they were coordinating perfectly. The fifth brother's brutal strength forced Luke into defensive positions, where the seventh sister's speed could exploit openings. And more Inquisitors were arriving. Apparently the Emperor had summoned every available hunter. "Goku!" Luke called out, desperately deflecting a strike aimed at his throat. "I could use that help now." Goku was already moving. He crossed the distance in a heartbeat, his presence causing all the Inquisitors to pause. Then he simply clapped his hands together. The shock wave that erupted from that simple gesture wasn't ki blast. It was pure kinetic force, air compressed and released in a spherical wave. Every Inquisitor within 20 meters was hurled backward, their lightsabers deactivating as they tumbled through the air. Luke stood at the epicenter, completely untouched, protected by Goku's precise control. "Thanks," Luke gasped. "They were more coordinated than I expected." "Take a breather," Goku said, his eyes tracking Vader as the Dark Lord emerged from the debris. "I've got this." But Vader wasn't alone anymore. Behind him, descending from the palace's highest levels, on a platform that floated without visible support, came Emperor Palpatine himself. The withered old man in black robes looked almost fragile, hunched, ancient, his face a map of wrinkles and decay. But the power radiating from him made Vader's presence feel like a candle next to a star. The dark side concentrated around Palpatine so densely that even Goku could sense it, a wrongness in the universe that made his skin crawl. "Son Goku," Palpatine's voice was thin, but carried perfectly across the battlefield. "You have performed magnificently, stronger than anticipated, more skilled than predicted, more noble than hoped." His yellow eyes gleamed with malicious satisfaction. "And now precisely where I wanted you." "Let me guess," Goku said, not intimidating. "This whole thing was to study me, learn my techniques, and now you've got some ultimate weapon ready?" "Oh, much simpler than that." Palpatine raised his hands and purple-white lightning erupted from his fingertips. But this wasn't like Vader's lightning. This was the raw dark side channeled through the most powerful Sith Lord in galactic history. The lightning struck Goku like a physical blow, bypassing his Kai defenses, attacking his nervous system directly. He screamed as every nerve ending fired simultaneously, his Super Saiyan transformation flickering under the assault. And it didn't stop. Palpatine poured more power into the attack, the lightning intensifying until it lit up the entire palace district. Goku fell to his knees, his golden aura guttering like a dying flame. "You see," Palpatine continued conversationally, his voice barely audible over the crackling energy, "I studied your confrontation with Lord Vader. Your physical defenses are extraordinary, nearly impenetrable, but energy that attacks the soul, that bypasses the body entirely, that remains your weakness." Goku tried to power up, to push through the pain like he always had. But the lightning wasn't just hurting him. It was draining him, pulling energy from his very being. His vision blurred, consciousness beginning to fade. "Luke," he managed to gasp, "get out of here!" But Luke Skywalker, Jedi Knight, son of Anakin Skywalker, was already moving. His lightsaber intercepted the lightning, the blue blade absorbing and redirecting the dark side energy. The sudden interruption caused Palpatine to pause, genuinely surprised. "Interesting," the Emperor hissed. "Young Skywalker, showing spine at last. But you are not ready to face me." Palpatine redirected the lightning at Luke, who fell instantly, his body convulsing from the dark side assault. And that, seeing his friend tortured for trying to help, ignited something in Goku that the pain couldn't touch. Rage. Pure Saiyan rage. His aura exploded, golden light erupting with such force that it pushed back the lightning itself. Goku stood, his hair even more rigid now, electricity dancing through his energy in patterns that made the force itself recoil. He'd pushed beyond Super Saiyan 2, touching the edge of Super Saiyan 3, a transformation he'd thought impossible in this universe. "You hurt my friend." Goku's voice was cold, devoid of his usual warmth. "That was a mistake." He moved faster than even Palpatine could track, his fist connected with the Emperor's face. And for the first time in decades, Darth Sidious felt physical pain. The real battle was about to begin. Emperor Palpatine tumbled through the air, his ancient body ragdoll limp from the force of Goku's blow. But before he could crash into the palace wall, he caught himself with the force, hovering mid-flight with tendrils of dark side energy stabilizing his position. His face, already grotesque, now bore an ugly bruise across his jaw, where Goku's fist had connected. "Impossible," Palpatine hissed, his yellow eyes wide with genuine shock. "No being has struck me directly in 40 years. Not since—" "I don't care about your history," Goku interrupted, his extended Super Saiyan form blazing like a golden star. His hair had grown longer, his eyebrows vanished, his power radiating in waves that cracked the stone beneath his feet. "You threatened innocent people. You hurt my friend. And you built an empire on making people suffer. That ends now." Palpatine's shock transformed into rage. "You dare!" Darkside energy exploded from him in a nova of hatred, the sheer malice causing windows to shatter across the palace district. "I am the Darkside incarnate. I am the culmination of 1,000 years of Sith planning. You are nothing, a warrior from a forgotten dimension, a curiosity with delusions of heroism." He unleashed another torrent of lightning, but this time Goku didn't defend. He simply walked through it. The lightning scorched his gi, burned his skin, attacked his nervous system. But he kept walking, each step deliberate, his golden aura pushing back the darkness with sheer willpower. "Your lightning hurts," Goku admitted, his voice steady despite the pain. "But I've been hurt by gods. I've survived attacks that destroyed planets. I've pushed my body beyond death itself. You're strong, Emperor, maybe the strongest Force user in this galaxy, but you're not strong enough to stop me." He reached Palpatine and grabbed the Emperor's wrist, cutting off the lightning at its source. Palpatine's eyes widened as he realized Goku's Kai was actually suppressing his Force connection, creating a dead zone where the dark side couldn't flow freely. "What? What are you?" Palpatine gasped. "I'm Son Goku," he replied simply, "and I'm here to stop you." Vader intervened, his lightsaber slashing toward Goku's neck. Goku released Palpatine and caught Vader's blade with his bare hand, his ki so densely concentrated that even a lightsaber couldn't penetrate immediately. He looked into Vader's masked face, seeing through to the tortured being beneath. "You don't have to protect him," Goku said quietly, even as Vader's blade slowly burned through his palm's outer layer of Kai. "I can feel it. You're in pain all the time. He did that to you. He's the reason you're trapped in that suit." "You know nothing of my pain," Vader growled, but there was uncertainty in his mechanical voice. "Maybe not," Goku acknowledged, "but I know what it's like to lose people, to fail to protect someone important, and I know that carrying that guilt while serving the person who caused it, that's worse than any physical torture." For just a moment, Vader's grip on his lightsaber wavered. In that moment, Goku saw something impossible, a flicker of blue light where only red should exist, a ghost of the man Anakin Skywalker had been. Then Palpatine's voice cut through like a knife. "Lord Vader, kill him now!" The compulsion in those words was absolute. Decades of psychological conditioning, dark side manipulation, and emotional blackmail all compressed into a single command. Vader's hesitation vanished, replaced by ruthless obedience. He tore his lightsaber free from Goku's grip and attacked with renewed ferocity, but Goku was done holding back. He met Vader's assault with speed that made their previous fight look like slow motion. Every lightsaber strike found only empty air. Every Force attack shattered against overwhelming Kai. And every few seconds, Goku's counterattacks connected. Precise strikes that damaged Vader's armor, without killing him, that pushed the Dark Lord back one step at a time. "You're stronger than this," Goku said between exchanges, his voice carrying genuine compassion despite the violence. "I saw it when we first fought. Underneath all that darkness and pain, there's still something good. Something that remembers what it was like to protect people instead of hurting them." "Be silent," Vader roared, but his attacks were becoming more desperate, less controlled. Something in Goku's words was cutting through defenses the Emperor had spent decades building. Palpatine saw it too. Saw his perfect weapon beginning to question, to doubt, to remember. Unacceptable. He raised both hands and channeled the dark side in its purest form. The force storm that erupted was beyond anything Goku had encountered in this universe. Not just lightning, but reality itself twisting and warping. Space folded incorrectly. Time stuttered. Gravity reversed and doubled back on itself. This wasn't just an attack. It was the fundamental laws of physics being temporarily rewritten through sheer dark-side will. Goku felt his ki disrupted at its core, his connection to his own energy suddenly uncertain. His Super Saiyan 3 transformation flickered dangerously. The pain was unlike anything the Emperor's lightning had caused. This was attacking his existence on a metaphysical level, trying to unmake the very bonds that held his consciousness to his body. But Goku had touched a level beyond even Super Saiyan 3 back home. He'd achieved Ultra Instinct, a state where the body moved without conscious thought, where the division between self and movement dissolved entirely. He couldn't access that transformation fully in this universe, couldn't sustain it, but for just a few seconds he could touch it. His hair shifted to silver white. His aura became calm, almost serene despite its intensity. His eyes gained an ethereal quality, seeing without looking, knowing without thinking. And in that state, the force storm couldn't touch him. His body simply moved through the distortions, navigating impossible geometry with unconscious grace. He appeared before Palpatine, his fist already in motion. The Emperor tried to defend with force barriers, with telekinetic shields, with every protection the dark side could provide. Goku's fist shattered through all of it and connected with Palpatine's chest. The impact sent the Emperor flying across the palace gardens, through 3 stone walls, and into the throne room itself. Goku's Ultra Instinct flickered out. He could only maintain it for seconds in this universe, but it had been enough. He landed beside Luke, who was struggling to his feet, his body still smoking from the lightning torture. "You okay?" Goku asked. "I've been better," Luke gasped, "but I'm alive. Is it over?" "Not yet," Goku said, sensing Palpatine's dark presence still very much active. "He's still conscious, still dangerous." They moved toward the throne room, Vader limping behind them, his armor damaged, his breathing labored, but his red lightsaber still ignited. The 3 of them stood at the threshold, looking into the Emperor's sanctum. Palpatine sat on his throne, blood trickling from his mouth, his robes torn and burned. But his eyes still blazed with yellow hatred, and his smile was absolutely mad. "Magnificent," he wheezed. "Truly magnificent. You are everything I hoped for and more, Son Goku. Such power, such spirit, and completely wasted on protecting the weak." He leaned forward. "But you have failed to consider one crucial detail." "What's that?" Goku asked warily. Palpatine raised his hand, and every screen in the throne room activated, showing different locations across the galaxy. The hospitals, schools, and residential zones he'd threatened, and in each one, Imperial troops were taking positions, weapons aimed at civilians who had no idea they were seconds from death. "The kill order," Palpatine said with grotesque satisfaction. "It was never dependent on my direct command. It was set to execute automatically, at this precise moment. Unless I transmit the abort code in the next 60 seconds, 7 million beings die. And even you, warrior from beyond the stars, cannot be in 700 locations simultaneously." Goku's triumph turned to horror as he realized the trap's true nature. It had never been about capturing or killing him. It was about forcing him to choose. Defeat the Emperor and let millions die, or let the Emperor live to save them. "No," Luke breathed. "There has to be a way." "There isn't," Palpatine interrupted. 50 seconds now. Will you kill me and do millions? Or will you kneel and beg for their lives? Goku's mind raced. Instant transmission could get him to maybe one location, but not 700. Flying at maximum speed wouldn't cover that distance. Fighting Palpatine wouldn't stop the automated systems. Every option led to catastrophic death tolls. Then a new voice crackled over the comm system in Goku's pocket. Mon Mothma's voice, calm and confident. Goku, this is Rebel Command. We've successfully infiltrated Imperial communications networks. R2-D2 and our slicing teams have located the kill order protocols across all 700 Imperial facilities. On your signal, we can transmit override codes simultaneously. Palpatine's smile vanished. Impossible. Those networks are protected by the finest encryption the Empire could devise? Mon Mothma continued. Yes, but you made one critical error, Emperor. You were so focused on Goku that you didn't notice our entire technical division working in parallel. While you studied the warrior, we studied your systems. While you prepared your trap, we built our counter. The rebellion isn't one person, it's millions of beings working together toward freedom. 30 seconds, Luke said, his voice trembling with hope. Palpatine's face contorted with rage. Vader, stop them! Destroy their communication arrays immediately. But Vader didn't move. He stood perfectly still, his red lightsaber deactivating as he made a choice that defied decades of conditioning. No, Vader said simply. The word hung in the air like a death sentence. Palpatine's face went through shock, betrayal, and finally pure hatred. 20 seconds, Goku said, his hand on the communicator. Emperor, you've got a choice now. Call off your kill order yourself or watch us do it for you. Never, Palpatine shrieked. I would rather see the galaxy burn than… Now R2, Luke shouted into his own comm. Across the galaxy, in 700 Imperial facilities, astromech droids and rebel slicers executed their programs simultaneously. Override codes flooded Imperial networks, countermanding kill orders, locking out weapon systems, and sending security footage directly to public news networks. On the throne room screens, Goku and Luke watched as Imperial commanders tried to execute the massacre orders, and nothing happened. Weapons didn't fire. Troops received abort commands, and the civilians, many of whom didn't even know they'd been threatened, simply continued their lives. The Emperor's ultimate leverage had been neutralized not by power, but by teamwork, planning, and the coordination of hundreds of beings who believed freedom was worth fighting for. Palpatine slumped in his throne, the reality of his defeat settling over him. For the first time in his long, evil life, Sheev Palpatine had been outmaneuvered. It's over, Goku said firmly. Your kill orders failed. Your trap failed. And I'm taking you into custody to face justice for everything you've done. Justice? Palpatine laughed, a hollow, broken sound. There is no justice, only power, and those strong enough to seize it. He stood slowly, dark side energy gathering around him one final time. If I cannot rule this galaxy, then perhaps it deserves to be… Vader's hand shot out, gripping Palpatine's throat with mechanical strength. The Emperor's eyes widened in shock as his apprentice, his weapon, his creation, turned against him at last. Anakin, Palpatine choked, you cannot. I am not Anakin, Vader said, his voice mechanical yet somehow more human than it had been in decades. But I am no longer only Vader either. You took everything from me, my wife, my children, my future. You made me a monster. And now, his grip tightened. I choose to stop you. Goku saw what was about to happen and moved to intervene. Wait, don't kill him. There's been enough. But Vader had made his choice. With a final surge of strength, he lifted Palpatine and threw him down the throne room's central reactor shaft. The Emperor's screams echoed as he fell, his body crackling with dark side lightning as the power core's energy reacted with his essence. Then an explosion, contained by the shaft's construction, but final in its result. Emperor Palpatine, Dark Lord of the Sith, architect of the Galactic Empire, was dead. Vader collapsed, his suit's systems failing. Goku caught him before he could hit the ground, lowering him gently. Hey, stay with me, Goku said urgently. We'll get you help. No, Vader's breathing was erratic, his systems dying. The suit requires the Emperor's maintenance. I am already gone. Luke knelt beside them, tears streaming down his face as he sensed something impossible through the Force. Father? Is that... Are you? Vader's hand, trembling with effort, removed his helmet. Beneath was the scarred, pale face of Anakin Skywalker, a face Luke had never seen, yet somehow recognized instantly. Luke, Anakin breathed, his natural voice weak but clear. You were right. Tell your sister. You were right about me. Sister, Luke whispered, confused. But Anakin's eyes had already closed, his last breath escaping as the man who had been Darth Vader found peace at last. Goku stood slowly, his Super Saiyan form fading back to base as the adrenaline wore off. Around them, alarms were blaring. Imperial forces would be converging on this location soon. Confusion and chaos spreading through their command structure with the Emperor and Vader both gone. We need to leave, Goku said gently, putting a hand on Luke's shoulder. The rebels are waiting for us, and there's a whole galaxy that needs to know what happened here. Luke looked at his father's face one final time, then nodded. With Goku's help, he stood, and together they left the throne room, leaving behind the Empire's dead leaders and the promise of a new era. As they escaped through Coruscant's underbelly, news was already spreading. The Emperor was dead. Darth Vader had turned against him, and a golden warrior from beyond the stars had helped bring down the most powerful dictatorship the galaxy had ever known. The Empire would fracture into warlord territories, slowly collapsing over the following years. The rebellion would transform into the new republic, building a government based on freedom rather than fear. And across 1,000 worlds, beings would tell stories of the day hope returned to the galaxy. But for Goku, walking through Coruscant's tunnels beside his friend, the victory felt incomplete. He was still stranded in this universe, still separated from his family and home. The battle was won, but his personal journey was far from over. Thank you, Luke said quietly as they walked, for everything, for believing people could change, for helping us when you had no reason to care about our war. That's what strength is for, Goku said, his expression thoughtful. My master Roshi taught me that martial arts exists to protect people, not because it's strategic or smart, but because it's right. Your father understood that in the end. Even after everything the Emperor made him do, he still chose to protect rather than destroy. They emerged into Coruscant's morning light, where the Millennium Falcon waited with engines warm. Han, Leia, Chewie, and dozens of rebels stood ready to evacuate. Did you do it? Leia asked as they boarded. Is it really over? Yeah, Goku confirmed. The Emperor's dead. The kill orders are canceled, and your galaxy has a chance now to choose its own future. As the Falcon lifted off, flying past Star Destroyers whose commanders were too confused and disorganized to give coherent orders, Goku looked back at Coruscant one final time. Somewhere on that massive city planet, people were waking up to news that would change everything they understood about their world. And somewhere in the depths of space, across dimensional barriers he still didn't fully understand, his family waited. Goku didn't know how he'd get home or how long it would take, but he'd made a difference here. He'd helped people who needed it, and somehow that made being stranded a little easier to bear. So what now? Han asked as they entered hyperspace. You gonna stick around? The New Republic could use someone with your power? Goku considered this. For a while, he decided, until I figure out how to get home. But yeah, I'll help rebuild. Make sure the galaxy learns from what happened. He grinned suddenly. Plus, Luke promised to teach me more about the Force, and I'm still curious about finding strong opponents who'll give me a real challenge. Despite everything, the loss, the victory, the uncertain future, the crew of the Millennium Falcon laughed. Because sometimes the simplest hearts carried the greatest strength. The days following the Battle of Coruscant transformed the galaxy. Imperial warlords seized territory, yes, but the New Republic rose from the rebellion's ashes with momentum that couldn't be denied. And at the center of countless stories, holonews reports, and whispered legends was the Golden Warrior who'd fought beside them. Goku remained with the rebellion-turned-republic for 6 months, helping secure key systems and training Force sensitives who emerged from hiding now that the Empire's inquisitors were gone. Luke Skywalker became his closest friend, the two of them combining Jedi philosophy with Saiyan martial arts to create entirely new approaches to combat and meditation. But Goku never stopped searching for a way home. He meditated with Force ghosts, studied ancient Jedi holocrons, and even consulted with the mysterious Bendu, all seeking knowledge of dimensional travel. The answers were elusive, the barriers between universes seemingly absolute. Then one morning on Yavin 4th, Goku felt it, a familiar key signature, faint but unmistakable. Whis. The angel had found him across the dimensional void, creating a brief window for return. The farewell was bittersweet. Leia embraced him, thanking him for giving the galaxy hope. Han complained that he'd miss having someone around who made his impossible piloting look normal. Chewie roared a Wookiee blessing, and Luke simply smiled and said, "May the Force be with you always." "And may your ki stay strong," Goku replied, the Saiyan blessing he'd taught his friend. When the portal opened, a swirling vortex of energy that definitely wasn't the Force, Goku took one last look at the galaxy he'd helped save. Then he stepped through, back to his universe, back to his family, carrying memories of a war fought not with gods or demons, but with ordinary beings who refused to surrender their freedom. The Star Wars galaxy would never forget Son Goku. Temples were built in his honor. Force-sensitive children trained in techniques he'd shared. And on quiet nights when the twin suns set on countless worlds, parents told their children stories of the warrior from beyond the stars who proved that even the darkest empire could fall when good people refused to give up. Some said he was a myth, a propaganda tool invented by the rebellion. Others claimed he was a Force manifestation, the light side's answer to the dark side's tyranny. But those who'd fought beside him, who'd seen his smile before battle, his compassion in victory, his unwavering belief that strength existed to protect, they knew the truth. He was real, he was a warrior, and he had changed everything.